We're live! It happened! The thing has begun! Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the live cast chat with the Roll for InitiaGive team. We've got the amazing Jesse Jerdak here. We've got KP11studios.com here. We've got Catie Osborn here. We've got Charlotte Moore-Lambert here. And we don't have Amelia Som here, unfortunately, because she is away at a conference about marketing. Maybe she should have gone to a conference about how to be a better friend. I don't know.
Oh,
like, hey,
damn,
we got most of the people.
damn.
We got most of the people here, and that's what matters. And we also have a ton of questions that you guys have already sent in to ask our cast about the season. Before we begin, though, I just want to say that as of this moment, we have raised on this show $25,636, including some donations while this stream was setting up from Gregory, from Mayral, and from Me and My Human.
Me and My Human.
Donating literally
Friggin'
thousands of dollars over the course of
Human.
it's a very wealthy bird.
Wow.
And they're on other channels as well. When I do other streams and other channels, they're showing up. They're all over the place. That dude, that bird cares.
It literally pays to be a bird.
It's nutty. It's nutty. We're gonna have an amazing, however long this is gonna be. We don't really have a set time. We're gonna go until all the cast members drop off, and then it'll just be Jesse and I complimenting each other for the rest of the evening.
We don't get compliments. Got it. You know,
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So stay tuned for that. But for now, Jesse Jerdak, our magnificent DM, get us started. What do you have to say about all this?
What do I have to say about it? Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thanks for joining us. Is this one last time? Hate to see that.
One last time. One last time.
It's not the last fundraising thing, but it is the last official thing for this that we're doing.
Yeah.
On this season, at least.
You know who I want to thank? Because it's the last time we're going to get a chance to as a family is Kobold Press for making this all happen. Because the Kobolds gave us enough money to make this not devastating financially to me and Forrest.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, thank you so much, Kobold Press, for your financial support and also for letting us play Tales of the Valiant, which was very fun. And thanks to their cool Doom Point system, we got to bring Azad back mid-fight after you guys killed Azad. The Doom Point system was neat.
So quick.
Killing Azad was my favorite part of the campaign. That was a lot of fun.
That was really it. We have some questions. We probably have some in the YouTube chat. We also have some in the fan
We also just got
Discord.
A donation.
Oh,
we did. Kelly. Send it in 30.
Kelly Burke.
We appreciate you, Kelly Burke.
Thank you, Kelly
Thank you so
Burke.
much. That's really kind of you. Making the world a slightly less crappy place.
Donates $100 or more, I'll make up a song for you.
Ooh.
My offer, but only during this stream.
Wow.
Hell yeah. I mean, Me and My Human already did that, but whatever.
Oh.
I do it every week on my podcast. Eat a dick. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
so
got
we have
questions here.
No, shut up, Forrest. Me talk, not you talk.
Damn it!
So we have questions coming in from the fan Discord. I'd like to mention the fan Discord. If somebody could link the fan Discord in the fan Discord box on the YouTube, that would be cool.
It's in the description right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's actually run by fans and not by us, which is kind of fun. I like that. I'd rather that, maybe. That way we're not responsible for all the filthy imagery that gets posted there. So there are questions that we're going to be reading from there. There's also some that we're going to be reading from the YouTube chat, and also probably, I don't know, some other magical source, that like Forrest Valkai's Magic Science Brain. With that... Magic Science Brain. Oh, as far as questions and the order in which we will be answering them, for some of you, you may not have already finished the entire series of Roll for Initiative. And so we are going to try and keep the spoilers to a minimum until the latter half. We don't know where the halfway mark is. We don't know how long we're going. Take that, ADHD time scheduling inability I have. But we're going to try and keep the questions kind of generalized for those of us that have not finished the series yet. And then we will start the spoiler warnings after we get through the more benign questioning.
People are also saying that the link to the Discord is broken. I think that might have been because it was a temporary link, and I'm generating a permanent one right now.
Wow.
And I'll put that in the description at this moment.
Josh Neff just donated $20.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh Neff.
I would like, can I just jump in real quick to give a shout out to the wonderful Unpredicted Party fan community of whom Josh Neff is a part, because those folks showed up in force for us, and I love you guys. Awesome. And thank you for all of your attention and donations. It's really made a difference.
That's genuinely freaking cool.
Absolutely. The Unpredicted Party fans, they made this a much more special thing on the back end than I ever could have predicted. So thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart. I owe you an appearance if you want me on your thing, and if not, that's also okay.
Don Marshall, I hope you're listening. We're going to get Jesse Jerdak.
I will do a voice.
I'm texting Don Marshall right now, being like, put Jesse Jerdak.
Can Jesse play Gwai here?
Can Jesse Jerdak come, please?
Please.
I will do.
And we just got 2 more donations. Another one from me, my human, and Xander Pike. Between them is $115.
Good gravy,
guys. Now Catie has to make up another song.
Yeah,
she does.
I gotta go find my banjo.
Okay, you're the cutest.
That is the most Catie thing I've heard all day. I have updated the link in the description. You may have to refresh the page to be able to see the new updated link, but I am currently going through and updating that link in all of the descriptions of all of the other videos as well. So that should be done here in just a second. I'm on episode 4 right now.
Wow, this man's a multitasker.
I'm efficient.
While Forrest is being efficient, shall we read our first question, or is there some more housekeeping?
It's just Kate and a banjo. I think we're all squared away.
Now that Kate's armed.
I just realized it's going to peek out and no one's going to hear it.
That's going to be great. It's going to be great and everyone's going to love it.
Yeah, I started learning the banjo, everybody.
I think that's cool.
Brag
What's the question?
Somebody that isn't Jesse Jerdak, read it.
No, you do it. You're the DM.
I'm
You're a fearless leader.
He's running the cameras. Hey, everybody. Somebody wants to know. That's a Jesse Jerdak question. I'll go with this one. What was the meaning of Azad's markings?
Ooh. Oh man, I mean it's a little silly, but first off, I think they just kind of started off as markings, but then as I was adding them on, so it's stupid now that I think about it. But essentially, it's 2 mushroom stalks that come up to the top, and then the curvature is essentially the tendrils reaching out. And then the center, the center is inspired by your typical, like the bindi, like the Indian, but I made it so because it was like the singularity, it's like coming into the fold, all coming in under one single, like that's the mother, everybody coming together under one thing. So everything is reaching towards that and being a part of that one thing. So that was the facial mark.
And like right where your third eye is?
Yeah, exactly. So like the bindis are done, like why we have a bindi, for multiple reasons, but that's also considered a focal point. It's a place for concentrating. It's considered where, like, when we're praying, that's where, like, energy enters into our body. There's several other reasons. The Indian culture and also the Hindu religion is so vast and so old that there's so many different interpretations why we do what we do, and no one seems to agree with any of it, but you pick which one you like and you go with it. That's how the world works, and it's great.
That's art.
I love that. And as of this moment, we have just received a couple more donations from A-Dub, from Mike Quad, and from an anonymous donator. We have raised a bunch more money through all of them. And also Titus Jackson, our glorious photographer and videographer and cameraman, camera legend, and lighting person. Just the coolest guy in the whole wide world. And then Sea Cow Explosion also just busted on in here to donate even more money. People are insane up in here. Let me go and just read
Sam Burton
Sea Cow Explosion is my cute friend from Twitter.
Thank you, Sam Burton.
Good gravy, y'all. So that's $14,155 that we've raised just through the YouTube link. Then we've got $10,355 on Tiltify. Then we've got $467 in merch sales and another $1,000 matched from Hero Forge. That brings us up to $25,977.
Oh my God!
So far.
Oh my dang!
Thanks, Hero Forge.
Yeah, thanks, Hero Forge. Shout out to Hero Forge for being the heroes of the Forge.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just let's have another question.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, a question for all the cast. Who at the table made the entire cast break down laughing the most?
Oh, Amelia.
Amelia got me the most.
Amelia.
100%. Yeah. 100% Amelia.
Yeah, she's just always ready with a quip.
And just so wicked sharp, like how quickly they were able to just swap in and do puns or just roll off of something else that happened in the event. And you're just like, God damn it. How does your brain work the way it does?
Some herb named Catie Catie, somebody stealing your username, just donated $75 and brought us up over the $26,000 mark.
It was gonna
now raised.
It was gonna bug me. So
I mean, flip, dude.
Yeah.
It's got to be an even number. So
yeah.
I got a different answer for that last one a little bit.
Yeah.
Because speaking of Catiosaurus, Kate is notorious for finding a small thing and doing something big with it. That's one of my favorite things about playing with Kate. And it was one of the things I was most afraid of DMing for her, because Kate is so good at like finding a little weird mechanic and turning it into a big narrative moment. And there was a time when Kate wrapped a piece of rope around a stump that I didn't put on the map. Somebody else put that goddamn stump on the map, and Kate's like, "This is now a whole mechanic." And we TIE fighter, or I'm sorry, we X-winged a Treant in the middle of a map, and it was this great thing. And I was simultaneously irate and overjoyed in that moment. So that's my one.
It was brilliant.
I will Sound of the Forest throwing in $20. Thank you so much.
Yay!
Thank you, Sound of the Forest.
I will
Nicole, I've got to check out your channel. Like, I get tagged all the time with people telling me that I need to be your friend, and so I'm going to look into that.
Nicole just returned from doing a wonderful event out here in North Carolina. This was her first solo trip across the country by herself. Coming out to do Bug Fest here at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, where she sold lots of wonderful nerdy buggy art and talked to her wonderful nerdy buggy community at the Science Museum, and it was great. And she's going to come do it again next year, and you guys should abso-freaking-lutely be friends.
I want to go. Can I dress up? Do you have to dress up like a bug to attend? Like, is there bug cosplay?
Can you dress up as a bug to
Nicole attend? And I are bugs cosplaying as people, but I think you can do it the other way if you want.
Okay. I'm going to cosplay as a bug, and I'm
yeah.
Nicole, what's the heaviest bug? I want to be that one.
Oh,
I think probably a Goliath beetle, maybe.
The Herculean beetle?
It depends on what you're classifying as a bug, because bugs are arthropods, and that includes crustaceans.
I literally just picked up my phone to text you, Charlotte, to ask my friend Charlotte, who would know the answer to that question, what's the biggest bug? And then I realized that we were streaming and having a conversation together. So I'm glad that that's where I'm at.
Also, Nicole is far better equipped than I am to answer that question. Don Marshall's in the chat.
Don Marshall.
Don Marshall, Lord of the Rings, obscure Lord of the Rings facts guy. Don Marshall's in the chat. It's
purveyor of
the crossover is crossing over. Okay.
Welcome, Don Marshall.
Welcome, Don Marshall.
Do we have another question, Forrest Valkai?
I have so many questions.
When I see what Nicole's answer is, I'll just chime in.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Smoking Glue Guns, Crit Award winner. Smoking Glue Guns is in the chat, and Nicole says the biggest bug by mass is the Atlas moth.
I love that we went by mass. That's really good. He did ask heaviest, so that works. This question, it's kind of open-ended, and it is for everybody. What is just a thing? Doesn't have to be the main thing, just something that about backstory, about lore, about film, a thing about this production that we didn't make it to the screen that you really fucking wish people knew. Something you were bummed out you wish people talked about.
Why is the moon on fire?
Did you get it? Season 3, 2.
That's probably season 3 or 4 stuff.
Okay.
Ooh, that means it's a big thing.
That's a big thing.
It's the biggest thing, probably. Maybe it's
the
nothing.
moon
You
on
guys
fire
don't know.
is pretty big.
It is, yeah. Are we gonna go to space? Can we go to space? That'd be super cool.
Charlotte, was that your answer?
I would like that. Yeah, that satisfies me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would agree. That one's a big one. Also, I think the one that feels like the logical next step is what is with the mechanical hands with Amelia, and like what's going on with Rita in that sense. Because my brain the entire time going, you and I are very similar two peas in a pod situation here. We're both dealing with extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional organisms infecting things. And only now, because yours is useful, it feels like no one seems to care. But it's clearly taking over your body, and that sounds like not a good fun thing to happen.
That was one thing on the episode 12, the confession. We had like everybody gets a monologue, you get a monologue, you get a monologue, you get a monologue, and I know that was an artifact of like the way we had to do this. This was a 50 episode show crammed into 14 episodes, and so we kind of like at that time. It was the last day of filming. We knew it was one of the last episodes, and we were like, fuck, we gotta get this out there. We gotta tell people things. And so we kind of allowed that to be the course. And at the end of that episode, or towards the end of all that, Amelia is like, you all understand what's going on with like the arm thing, right? And we had the dream sequence, and so we were all like, yeah, totally. But like, we should have put 5 more minutes of it. She should have dumped into it. It would have been really cool. But we were all just like, I think we were caught up in how funny it was just to be like, yeah, we've been there. Like, we get that.
It's old hat.
Yeah, we all, yeah, you told us. It's all good. You punched a tree about it. It was fine.
What about you, Kate?
I was muted.
I was thinking about how much I like all of you, and I forgot the question. What was it?
It was, is there anything that didn't get as much attention as you thought it should have on the show that we just didn't get to?
Should have?
Or maybe that you just wanted to?
I feel like, I biffed something. That was, I messed up an encounter. There was when we went to the camp and I got to meet the spooky Raven lady. I like something short-circuited in my brain, and I like did like a whole thing with Gwen's necklace, and I'm like, we're gonna trade, and it's gonna be symbolic, and and then I realized that I had just completely forgotten to sort of drop any lore about why that mattered in any specific reason at all, and then it was just like this random encounter. Then I was like, okay, bye forever.
I don't know. I kind of liked that was just left open. I thought it was just like, there's some witchy shit happening here.
Yeah.
Do you want to reveal anything about that thing there, Kate?
What?
Do you want to reveal anything? Because I saw you made a cool fucking necklace pendant amulet thing, and I know what was in the middle of it. I don't know that the viewership does. So that is one of the things that I really wanted to visit more deeply. That probably would have been my answer, honestly.
So Gwen's necklace, it was a vertebrae from like a spine. I'm just going to teeter that.
And I need y'all to know it was a literal vertebra.
Yeah.
That Kate was like blowing up the group text. She was like, here's pictures of this vertebra I'm working on. And we were like nobody really, we were like, yeah.
That's good. And then I showed up and I was like, look at my magic. Look at my magic thingy.
A magic bone.
Weird.
Locally
sourced. It is weird how much stuff isn't weird. Like when you're in this kind of community. It's, you know what I mean? I've got so many. I've got a box of a llama in that closet right there. And it's just, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. We're getting some good questions in chat too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with those. Shard Tabletop's in chat. Shard Tabletop, thanks so much for your help.
Tabletop!
We love you.
They asked, does Forrest know that Vindica means heel in Romanian? Yes. That's why I picked it. because there's a lot of backstory and stuff there, and I did a lot of symbolism and real neat shit. And the amount of people that ask me that question is totally fine. It's neat that that's a thing. The amount of people that pretend like they have something up on me by telling me that is a bit confusing. Um, also, we have Flip Dude.
It was Semmel, who runs our fan Discord. Semmel asked about a filming question. What's the biggest challenge with filming for 8 or so hours that a regular person wouldn't expect?
Trying to dig through this and find them. Oh, there it is. Yeah, filming for 8 hours that a regular person wouldn't expect. I would answer the fact that, as you see many times on the screen, we all as players forget what we as players know and versus what the characters know versus what we've talked about in the break room off camera while laying on the floor exhausted trying to wolf down a sandwich in between takes versus what we've actually fleshed out on the screen versus what we discussed it on laying in bed waiting for Jesse to make the next battle map, and we're all crammed in a room that we didn't realize we were going to be crammed in for 4 goddamn hours
with like a foot of snow outside.
Yes, and it's just it's a nightmare. And so you'll see things like that, like how literally nobody mentioned anything about Eloise leaving until like 4 episodes later, because we were all just like, yeah,
wait, can I address that?
Yeah.
Listen, I need to address this because that is in the comments. One of them, that's probably the most common question that we get in all of the YouTube video comments is what happened to the girl from the first 2 episodes? Where is Ginny D?
Yeah.
Why haven't any of the characters asked about that? And like, our characters just met this chick on a train, knew her for 24 hours, did battle with her, and then she was like, oh, I gotta go help do healer things. And we were like, okay, bye, good luck. And then ostensibly she went and did healer things and had a... My dog is doing something. Okay. Oh, please don't. All right. And like, I feel like that was kind of it from our perspective.
Victor didn't like her anyway. He was happy to be moving. I think he forgot she existed the second she walked away from him. Like, it was just there was good reasons for us to not talk about it, but also from an audience perspective, I can totally understand how they wanted us to talk about it.
Yeah, but then also there was the little clip at the very end of episode 2 where it was pretty clear to me what happened to her. She got shroomed. I
will say, okay, just to clear the air for everybody, Ginny was absolutely magnanimous. We love her dearly. We were so glad to have her. And from the outset, it was very clear that she was only going to be able to be there for those 2 episodes. No, she just doesn't have
that was the agreement.
That was the agreement. She just doesn't have the time because she's a busy person doing amazing things. And so we're, as people, as players, as cast members, very grateful, very thankful. It was never a issue on our end. It was purely a story thing and purely because Ginny was a very busy person. And so Jesse made that as her outro. Also, an outro that none of us really knew was going to happen. Like, I didn't, as Azad, didn't know that was how the outro was happening. Neither did Ginny. So both of us, when we were sitting there going, it's going to go on. And then he revealed it. I'm like, holy shit, are we revealing things that early? It's episode 2, my guy. What's going on? You can't put me in this position now.
Well, and then the rest of us were just sent out of the room.
Right.
We had no idea. I learned this with the rest of the audience. And then we came in and it was just like Ginny holding all of her stuff, like, nice to meet you guys. Bye. And we were like,
it was a pleasure,
what happened? She was like, guess you'll find out. Bye. Like,
it's worse for me. I think I had behind the scenes knowledge that she was only going to be able to do this much because that's like kind of what we had been able to plan for. We just from a production side. And so like to me it was just as right as rain. It was nothing. It was just like, of course, I really appreciate you being here. It was good talking to you. We discussed feminism and science and then we went on about our lives. Have a good day. And so like something so incredibly mundane, now looking at it from this perspective, might have warranted a footnote, but it didn't, and it's fine.
I also think it might not have helped us because her character still continued in all of our title sequences going forward. And so like her character lasted a lot longer than the first 2 episodes, which maybe hindsight, we're like, maybe that would have been a good indication there.
You know what? if I had had the time, I was thinking about this because like we started releasing this when I was out of the country, and I was out of the country for 2 months while this was premiering, and like I was able to get a small amount of tinkering done on the episodes by remoting into my computer, but like Wi-Fi in South America is spotty, y'all. And so it was a bad time, and like I was trying to do the best I could, but there was only so much I could do.
You were in the
so,
hospital for some of it.
Yeah,
yeah, that sounds way better than it was. I was in a hotel room, and a doctor came and set up an IV using a coat hanger in my hotel room, and I was fine. And you know what though? The episodes got fucking published, is what matters.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Well done.
Big fucking kudos to you, my guy. But
thank you.
Going through,
but I do wish I would have been able to like alter. If I could have adapted the title sequence the same way we were able to adapt the set and have more and more mushrooms appear in the title screen and have Jenny disappear and things like that, would have been really cool. That was something I wish I was able to do. And also, if you notice, in the title sequence, there's a bunch of beautiful nature shots. And whenever it fades from a character to a beautiful nature shot, for all of us, it's like a cavern, it's the woods, it's whatever. For Azad and Jenny specifically, it fades to mushrooms.
Yeah,
I did something. Something in there.
No, I loved it. I loved it.
I was
also while we've been.
No, shut up, Forrest. Me talk now.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, or in a second. Hold on. Yeah. I came up with just throwing KP under the bus in like late episode 1, early episode 2. I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen, but I loved the idea that the audience had insider information that the cast did not throughout the entire thing. I was so pleased with myself for that. I hope it came across well. Hope the audience liked it, because it was a wild thing to think up, but it was very gratifying to me when KP finally did his big reveal.
I think it came together great.
It was good. It was very good. While we were yapping, Nix Hicks and Scone Mistress have both donated money. Thank you.
Thank you, Nix
Scone. Scone Mistress, the friggin' prognosticator of the unpredicted party, foresaw much of what would unfold as she want to do.
Pertinent to the discussion, right before that happened, Moore-Lambert asked, did everyone know everyone else's backstories going into the Confessions episode? Nobody knew anything about anybody.
I think we barely knew ourselves.
Yeah.
I know I was making up a lot of it as I went along. Like you see me type somewhere around, I don't know, it was like maybe an episode or two before Kirka gives her whole backstory. I was coming up with the Draconic Pantheon as I sat there typing away. Like I only figured out who she was going to be and what she wanted in like episode 4 or 5 or something.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't know.
That sounds
I think
rough.
most cast really knew about each other's stuff. Was just, hey, I am this class, this background and race. I come from this location on the map. That was really it.
Forrest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, individually, we knew maybe a bit more obvious about our own characters, and some too. I think you're leading into this as well, Charlotte.
Forrest was the madman. Who wrote a frickin'
about 25 pages. Yeah, about 25 pages, and that is one thing that like something that KP you just said was that we knew more or less where we came from, but like there was a lot of cultural information that went into that, and so like you being from Samagratia was so connected to Victor being from Odvaha in ways that we couldn't talk about really, and that we never got to. And Victor being totally thrown off by the fact that ghosts exist and shit in a world that definitely exists. It's because of where he comes from that matters. And and there's so many things there and Kate knowing not to step in a fairy ring because of where Gwen came from, that mattered in that. But it's just shit that we weren't able to bring to the screen because again, 60 episode show in 14 episodes, it's hard. We did our best.
I would also just like to say for the record that the Confessions episode, I had no plan to do a monologue. I was sitting there, I was minding my business, I was vibing, I had a cup of tea, it was warm, and everybody starts going around the table and I'm like, oh, it's the lore dump, here we go. And I was like, I don't have to participate in this, not for me. And I was coerced and a backstory was demanded of me. And it was like really funny because I was like, no, seriously, like I'm just here. I'm just here
just
for
a librarian.
Like,
I'm just a teacher.
I'm just here because of a clerical error. That's really it. And then I was like, but the birds. And I was like, it's not even. It's just I just like birds.
Just like birds.
And that
Birds are
is
just
the
cool.
backstory.
Just like to see. I would like to see fan art of Gwen just shrugging and then just like, I just like birds.
Like birds.
We've got a couple of questions in the chat about props and sets.
Yeah,
perhaps I've got a few on my list over here too. Yeah,
Jesse could take them about how long did a set change take, and also how long did it take Jesse /props to history /Erik Gude to make the various props and sets and such.
My edits were not lies when it says multiple hours later. That was not a joke.
Yeah, they kicked our asses out for the cave one. That was like 3 hours or something.
Yeah. The mother episode, I was trapped in a room. Like a soldier put me there.
So
that one was a really long one.
I can speak to a lot of that. I should have invited Michael to do this. I didn't even think to do that. He probably would have come too. Damn it. I'll follow props to history.
Don't do the thing. Don't do the thing.
He is at work right now, and he has to work until late.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah, I'm
gonna call him just to be a pest.
There we go. So the tree I had started designing in Blender. That's the 3D rendering program that I typically use. Probably months ago, just because I had a cool idea about it, and then once Forrest and I decided to actually turn this into a production, I was like, oh, I'm going to use that fucking tree. I was just going to do that for my home game. My home players are very spoiled, so they get big fucking roll for initiative props like every other week, and they don't think anything of it, those little fucks.
I know, because I was sitting next to Ginny when you first rolled out that, because she's one of your regular players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you rolled out this beautiful village, and she was just like, yeah, this is a Tuesday for us. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and like I have a couple of players that haven't played in other campaigns, so they just think that's what it's like. I'm like, I can't wait till you guys play with another DM. But the tree, like once he was designed, which he probably has about 20 hours of design work in him, and then probably about the printing was the part that took the most. The printing, but that's just, you start at printing and you leave. That probably took 40 plus hours to print on a couple of, or 3 different 3D printers. And then painting was easy because I just did like a dark coat and then dry brushed several layers over it like you would for bark. The trees on him, I made out of little wires and put green flocking on those, and then I put a smoke machine inside him. I don't know. The final encounter map I probably made. I took a video of me making that. I made that all in one night. So an evening after dinner is when I made the final encounter with the 5-inch grid, and then there was another one. Oh, the village. I used a lot of assets from my home game for that. So a lot of them were just stuff I had laying around. The only pieces I actually made for the village was the waterfall and the river. And then like 2 outhouses and some of the grass tiles, but everything else I just already had. The waterfall. I'm going to talk about the waterfall because it's heartbreaking. I don't know if the cast knows this yet. You might know this. I don't know if I told you yet or not. Up until the day before we shot, that actually had water being pumped through it with aquarium pumps, but it wouldn't stop fucking leaking. Forrest, I hope we can swear.
You mentioned that on
yeah, no, we can't.
You did tell us, but you'd had a podcast the other day where you mentioned that this happened.
That's right. I told that podcast, and then I linked it to you because I was talking sweet about you guys. But yeah, that was heartbreaking for me because I've never seen anything like that in a live play, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have running water in this, but it was just sputtering and loud and leaky. And if we get to do another season, I swear to God, it's gonna have running water in it. I promise. As far as setups go, yeah, I think the fastest one was over an hour. I'm so sorry, team.
Fine. I mean, it was good to get like get a break. You guys didn't get breaks was the thing.
Yeah.
Breaks are overrated.
Wrong.
No, don't say that.
We have a charity to charity.
So wrong.
We need a Jesse intervention. My God.
No, don't. I make cool things. Don't intervene yet. Wait till I'm old.
Would you talk about fabricating the cave with Michael, Corrie, and the wonderful folks that you worked with who helped you do that?
I still have a piece of the cave.
Oh, you lucky.
I brought this home with
Get a piece of
me.
the cave.
I found it on the ground while we were cleaning up the
Ah,
Airbnb.
he stole it. You can mail that to Michael Corrie.
He was like, I stalagmite, take this home.
I have
Oh,
this chunk
man.
of
You're the
insulation.
best.
It's like a weapon.
It's true. So yeah, I can talk. I mean, Michael did 95% of that cave, and then I think Erik Gude also did that. I didn't provide much, but I can tell you that Michael made most of it at his house and then drove it in. He built like the bulk of it and then threw it in the back of his truck and like packed around it, I think. Um, and then they built the framework over at Raptor House Studios, and then they painted it down. And then Erik was he's so cute. Was making like a little walkway that was spiraling around. Like he was just meticulously making this little wooden walkway that we got just a few quick shots of, and it probably took Erik over 2 hours to make. But it's beautiful. Um, that's one of my biggest chagrins is like that piece especially. We didn't. It was so big, and the room we were in was so small that it was hard to get the camera work all the way around it. And that's a next time for Forrest and Jesse problem because we thought the studio space was bigger than it was, and they wouldn't let me in to come take a look. The studio, and
there was a lot of things about that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be better.
Yeah,
next time.
I don't think like a lot of people maybe don't realize that we just filmed that in an Airbnb outside of Denver in February. And we filmed all of that in someone's living room that you guys completely transformed and retransformed.
Oh,
in
can
a
I talk
night.
about
It was
Sarah?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a local friend here in Denver. Her name is Sarah Talaba, and she makes fucking magic with her little beautiful hands. And so I contacted her a few weeks before the show. And I'm like, hey, Sarah, here's my ideas for the show. And I told her I wanted to look kind of Victorian-esque. And I said, I want there to be like one mushroom in the background of episode 1, and then like 3 in episode 2, and then I want it to start gradually increasing. And so Sarah not only brought over a bunch of like just carpets and draperies and sconces and cool Victorian things and like plants and shit, but she also sat there and made in the ballpark of 300 like expanding foam mushrooms. And we just hid those around the set with an increasing number over like the course of 14 episodes, and that's one of my favorite little things.
One of them too.
And I loved it when you guys started noticing it because I was never going to draw attention to it. That was my thing. Is like I hoped either the fans or you guys would notice, but it was never going to be a thing for me to point out because that's those little magical details that I know they make a piece that much more special in the long run. When there's those little things those little extra pieces of love, and so thank you to Sarah for helping bring that to life.
Seriously, we've got a bunch of questions both in the Discord and here in the chat. I've asked the chat to please make sure to tag me whenever you ask a question because that way it pops up orange and I can see it. Feel free, if we've passed by your question, we haven't answered it yet, feel free to ask it again and just tag me so I can find it very easily. And right away, I'm going to go with this one first, and then I'll go to the Discord next. Asher asks, how long did it take to set up and tear down the set? We were there for, I believe, 2 days before we started filming and 1 day afterwards for setup and tear down. So 2 days to build the damn thing and 1 day to strike it and frantically put the Airbnb back together, put all the furniture back where it was supposed to go, put all the stuff on the walls where it was. We took pictures, got to put the plants back where they go, put the TV back where it went. Like we took that place apart and put it back together. We didn't damage anything or break anything. We were very careful
great.
about
like
it.
You have to describe what you built, and I know that Erik also had a part in building that. You guys built a framework, from which you could like hang the cave. We didn't know what the cave set was going to be. We were just making jokes like, are we doing shibari? Like, what is going on here? This whole ass thing in this little tiny space, and then all the stuff that you had to hang the curtains from. It was crazy.
It was basically a box. So what it was, the main wooden frame was just this giant U that went over the top, and that was this big wooden thing with the 2 poles going this way and that way, and that's where the thing hung from. then spanning across to the back of the set where Jesse sat, were some we had bars there with pillars coming down all along that, and then across the back where all the drapery and everything hung, and then we built off of that. And that was all, and then that was done by Sarah and Titus, who also did the lighting rigs throughout that as well, and made the lighting rigs integral to the structure so that they were relying on each other to save both space and material. And then Erik is the one who made the giant wooden structure in the middle that held it all together. Absolute and you'll notice in the what do you call them? The credits, we thank Joe the neighbor, because Joe the neighbor gave Erik a drill and a handsaw to finish building that thing. Just literally went outside, knocked on a random door, was like, "Do you have a drill and a saw?" And the guy was like, "Sure, here you go." and production wouldn't have worked out very well without those. We also thank the construction workers down the street, because on 2 separate occasions, we went and harassed some city workers who were just trying to do their job, but the ground was vibrating and it was very loud because they were like digging out a storm drain or something. And Jesse Jerdak just went over there with his giant self and niced them into coming back next week.
But also dressed in full costume. Right. That is important to that story.
Still wearing the leather vest.
Just this big man emerging from this house. Somebody in the chat asked, like, what did Jesse say to make the construction workers go, "Yeah, what do you say?" He doesn't have to say anything. He just appears. Just the mountain appears. Speak softly. Hey, would you guys
I was very sweet about it. I was just like, "Hey guys, we're doing a charity thing. We're filming a charity thing in this little house right over here, and I don't know if your schedule will permit it, but it would sure mean a lot to us if you could come back later." And I really wasn't trying to be a dick. I wasn't trying to be intimidating. I was just being sincere. And usually people respond to that.
Hell yes. 100%.
It worked. They were like, "Okay, bye." They were probably happy to take a day off.
Probably.
Yeah. We got more questions?
Yeah.
I was going to say one more thing in terms of the side of things, that I feel like this was also not the first option in terms of location from what I remember. Like, you guys had a separate Airbnb location that you had made the whole plans for because the space would have worked out much better for everything. And then came to find out last minute it didn't work out and had to like pivot to this other location and then have to change the entire production to match this new location, and pray to God it works. So the fact that you guys were able to do all of that, even with that setback, goes to show the quality and the skill set of this team. So
yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. That's right. It was like, what was like a month before we flew out there or something. They were like, quick update, you guys.
Yeah, I think it was even
do it a different way.
It was like right up to production.
Yeah.
And poor Forrest and Amber were just scrambling to find us a spot. And I should have been. I'm local. I didn't find them jack shit. I was not helping at all. I was too busy. Honestly, I was building trees and shit is what I was doing, and writing stories and stuff.
You were doing plenty of work. We had it sorted out earlier. But then the person who owned the first Airbnb that we tried to screw us over and pull the rug out from under us and try to make us pay for a building we were going to get. It was a whole problem. And then also what was it? When we did get there, we had 1,000,001 problems with like the table that was built for us. By the way, that table was built by a guy named Nick and his company, Saturn Tables. I'm going to go ahead and just do this really quick because I'm so unbelievably bored by somebody who is upset that their viewing experience has been affected by the fact that tens of thousands of people are dead and we're trying to help. Oh my God, what a baby. Anyway, the point is...
back to the void.
Sorry. But this table was built for us and delivered from Texas to Colorado, and then assembled in this area. And it's, oh my gosh, that's so freaking cool. It's amazing. It looks beautiful. I dare you to find a fucking chair that fits. It's insane. Because if you sit in a regular chair, the table is here. And if you sit in like a bar stool chair, you can't put your knees under anything. And so we had to rent chairs from a party rental place. That's why you hear chairs squeaking and creaking the whole time, because there were these party rental chairs from like a wedding rental thing, and then we had to Amazon Prime like rapid dash in some like 6-inch chair riser things. And we got these round ones that kept falling over, so we had to dash in more of them that were square, and then we had to spend like we had to go buy a bunch of foam and put that in them so the chairs didn't slide off them. We had to get the foam on there.
Ginny
and it was
almost died twice.
Yes. Like
off of that too.
It was a mad dash for those 2 days, and then even a little bit into filming, we were just buying whatever we had to buy at the last second to try to get everything to work, to try to like make the Airbnb what it needs to be, to try to make the table what it needs to be, buying props and set pieces. Erik Gude and Michael Corrie were working down to the wire, just running back and forth to Raptor House Effects, building a thing, bringing it there, doesn't quite fit, bring it back. Madness. Absolute madness.
And that problem was caused because I knew that we were going to have spoiler alert. If you haven't watched the series, stop watching now in T-5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I knew that we were going to have a dude under the table using a big puppet, so I was like, it's got to be tall enough to fit a man under, and also there has to be a hole in the middle of the table. And who are the gentlemen from Texas Forest?
There was the Saturn Tables.
Saturn Tables was kind enough to accommodate all of that, but in doing so, I created a whole host of other problems, like having a 3-foot tall table, which sounded fine to me. I'm a giant. I'm like, that's a normal size for a table. And then I get there and everybody else is just like, oh, this is great, Jesse.
And you had this like there was a barrel under the table.
Yeah.
Like there was a half barrel. I was like, ooh, is the barrel gonna be a thing? No, it was just a barrel built into the table. Barrel. It was cool. It looked cool.
And not to mention the fact that the whole thing weighs about 1,000 tons. And like, yeah, moving that thing around was mad. And then I had to fly back to Denver to rent a U-Haul to drive that table back here to Oklahoma, where it currently rests in my dining room. When someday I'm gonna have to drive it back to goddamn Denver, if we're lucky enough to get the funding for a season 2.
I feel like, listen, the table's already there. We just fly to where the table is at.
Yeah.
The entire fucking table.
I've got a huge living room, and it would accommodate everybody just fine. The problem is that Jesse's also making the props and stuff, and we'd have to figure set design here in my house. It'd be weird, man. It'd be very strange.
This just sounds like the setup for a buddy comedy to me. Jesse moves in with you for 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
Makes
that.
a bunch of stuff.
Him if that is the case.
You turn your entire house into an escape room.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then we come play.
To mention,
no spoilers for season 2.
Everybody, like outside of Jesse and Laura, everybody else is outside from Denver, and obviously and Ginny. Everybody else is outside of Denver, so none of us are acclimated to the high altitude.
Oh yeah.
And some got hit worse than others, but it's still factored.
I really thought I was gonna die. There was like a point where I was like, I held up production for like an entire day one time.
Oh yeah.
Because like my body just like shut down. Like it was the worst thing. And so speaking of men who come to your hotel room with IV bags on hangers, that literally also happened to me in Denver. We had to have like a medic come and give me like basic medical care,
which was how I learned. What was it Jesse or somebody was like, well, we'll just call, you need an IV, we'll just call a guy to bring an IV. I was like, what do you mean you're gonna DoorDash an IV? What?
Yeah, but there's like 2 episodes where my hair just looks like absolute shit, and that is because I had woken up from this like bizarre IV oxygen deprived slumber and just was like, okay, I can go now. And we just like ran and started filming. And so like, yeah, there's like a bunch of footage where I'm not looking my best.
Yeah, you pulled through. You soldiered on in a beautiful way. And yeah, like a mobile IV has saved my ass a couple of times while I was like traveling, filming, doing stuff. I had to get one in the Oh fuck, I'm slapping my microphone. When I was in the Galapagos releasing this, and I had to have a doctor come, that was the second time in as many months as I had been in that situation. Because right before then, I was in the Virgin Islands doing a thing, and same thing, got violently ill and had to get a mobile IV to come to the place that I was staying. It's really nice. It's a great service if you can afford it. It's very, very handy.
And then we just had like canisters of oxygen,
yeah, we were like
just lying around.
Yeah, yeah. I bought a bunch of compressed oxygen so that way, if anybody wasn't used to the altitude, they could take a hit. And there were so many times where it was like, I thought I was doing fine, and I was like, I'll just do this for fun, and I'll take a breath of oxygen, and I would wake up, not realizing I had been so asleep.
Oxygen deprived is what you were being there.
Man.
Yeah, I was suffering from hypoxia. Thank you to Peace, Love, and Guns, and also to the anonymous person who donated $20 each of them. Thank you so much for helping us out. And also, I think I missed Midge Kajit up here, donated $10. I don't think I said thank you to them either.
Thanks, Midge.
Thank you, Midge.
Love you, Midge.
People are fucking awesome.
Love you more than Charlotte.
Another top crew. Wow.
Something that was asked in the Discord a while ago was, what was everyone's favorite oh my god moments that they had? Basically when they had an aha, what was their favorite one? Includes walking in and seeing the sets, just anything where you were knocked off of guard a little bit.
I mean, when didn't I feel that way, honestly speaking? I feel from episode 1, something or another kept happening that just was like, whoa, holy crap, whoa. I think the one that really hit it home for me particularly was probably the cave set. Because I was like, I mean, even just the first set with the village was like, I've never had experienced that kind of production before. Maybe one other time, something similar, but you know, it's like, oh, this is super cool. But you're like, okay, I've seen other productions do something similar. I'm just excited to be a part of something like that, right? And then to go from that, and then I think the next one was the tree when it actually started moving, and you're just like, what the F? Wait, it was already cool as F that it exists, and now it can move? What? So that was cool, but then and then it just kept escalating. I always thought, okay, this is peak, and then it kept happening, and then the goddamn puppet, and then like, where do you stop? Like, where can I point one thing to say that was the coolest thing? Because there never felt a moment that I didn't feel that way about this entire production. And also just honestly, in the middle of all that, those set pieces were fantastic, but this entire cast, every single one of them brought their A game and brought such grand storytelling and performance. Every single person just every day just amazed me. And I mentioned this in we had a private voice chat in the Discord as soon as the previous episode ended, the last episode. I'm not a performer. I don't have any performance background.
Bullshit.
Shut up. You're a performer.
In the sense that, okay, correction. I've never, I didn't get trained in this. I didn't do any of this as like a job or hobby or going to school for it. And like TTRPG is where I started doing something like that, right? So to me, a lot of the times going into a production, there was always this, am I going to be good enough? Am I actually going to bring something? Am I actually going to actually help? Because a lot of the times it felt like everybody was so much better than me. This is the first time I felt like I could work with this team, and there was something magical about it because everybody just gelled so well that I could feel like, no, not that the other tables were not like that. For some reason, something clicked to me here. And seeing everybody else perform and watching them and getting inspired by them and wanting to just be at that same level as them and being able to just tell this story, I think it was just so validating and so lovely, and it just felt right. I think that ultimately in the end, that's what it is. I think that, and yeah, to answer that question, the whole fucking production, there it is.
Anybody else?
The question was like, what was the thing that shocked you the most?
Yeah,
your biggest like holy crap moment.
I mean, KP's betrayal.
Yeah, that was very rude.
Zod's betrayal was like, for me, I think the most dramatic representation, like the moment in that final battle where Azad steps forward towards the mother and turns and faces us as an antagonist. I literally felt that like, no feeling. That was, I mean, that was a bummer, Batman. Yeah. Because so it's easy to watch when you're binging the whole show week after week after week, and you can like objectively observe it and put together all of those little threads. I think it's pretty easy to see early on that like Azad is not what he seems to be at the table. Just in my head so much trying to think of like who the hell my character was and what I was going to do to justify being there, and just moment by moment by moment. The only thing that I'm thinking is like, well, he's a rogue. We don't know this guy. We don't know where he's from, but I don't know any of these people. So anybody could be up to any shenaniganry. That just is what it is. I didn't think it would be like an existential betrayal. The precursor to that was maybe when Azad like shows us that he's an undead guy. We're all having our nice little cozy row bottle episode moment, and then he's like, check me out. I'm a corpse. Ew.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you guys. Seriously.
Yeah.
It was weird because like, we had somebody in the chat say that your character got under their skin, and I know you were trying that. You mentioned a couple of times like you loved being this pushy religious guy that you also hate. And there were so many times where it was so fucking weird because just how tight the schedule was and how crammed everything was, where you and I would literally be like arguing, fighting on camera, and then walk in the next room and just be laying on the ground bullshitting about whatever like Bollywood movie you're talking about. You're laughing at me trying to pronounce things, and we're talking about like opera and stuff, and then we have to get back on stage and be like, "You son of a bitch! I told you."
We had so many people in the comments be like, you guys are friends, right? You guys are all good.
This is all right. Are you sure?
I mean, the best picture that can show that is us three literally shooting shit in bed with each other. Like,
yes,
like that was us in break pretty much the entire time. Is just us chilling like that. So I promise, acting.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that made this really special for me. I really appreciated that our characters didn't just become friends, like meet in an inn and become friends and go on adventures. Like that's not how people work. There's no reason why a bunch of strangers should just get along, especially coming from completely different cultures, completely different sides of the continent at this very pivotal cultural moment. Like there's so many reasons why this should not have worked. And Jesse built a story that forced us to make it work. I think that was where a lot of that chemistry came from, and why we ended up gelling so well. I thought that was extraordinary. It made me really happy to play it that way.
You're not the only one. I have a as I talk about this publicly, and whenever I'm on like another stream and I'm trying to promote this, that's one of the things I bring up is that this isn't just a bunch of strangers meet in a tavern, instantly become best friends, and sally forth to save the world. And there's drama, and there's emotion, and there's intrigue, and there's excitement and hurt feelings, and all sorts of things. And that is something that has actually drawn in more people. I've gotten more reactions to people like, oh shit, okay, cool. Is it something interesting to watch? Not just, and then there's fantasy stuff happens and people are there and it's neat. You know what I mean? It's just beautiful.
I will also add, if I can mention, without going into specifics.
You cannot.
I will just say that you know, because of how intense these characters are, like there are moments where bleed can happen. Right. And that's natural in any form of performance work. I've seen it in LARPs. I've seen it in other tables. And when you're in these characters and you are performing, and especially when they do something very unlikable, it can bleed into sometimes those interactions outside of that, and it can affect who you are as an individual. I just want to give such a huge kudos to this team to call out. And I think my star especially, I think, goes to Charlotte in this moment, in that there were moments where we were like, oh shit, this is, I as a human being, I'm getting negatively affected by this. And we rallied around, had a conversation, really just was like, okay, what is the story that we're actually trying to tell here? Is this really relevant? Can we alter this in a way that can still have the spirit of what this is about, but also go in a trajectory that is not negatively affecting us in this direction? I think is huge kudos to just the whole team, the fact that people were willing to listen, the fact that people were willing to chime up and talk about it and have a comfortable environment to be able to do so, because not all tables even have that as a you know, people are not comfortable sharing and talking about it, and that completely ruins a production, ruins a story, and ruins the experience, not just for us, but for the audience as well, because that carries, once again, back onto the table. And so the fact that we had 0 sessions before going in, had the confidence to be able to just be like, hey, money doesn't matter, production doesn't matter. We will halt things as necessary if needed, because human beings are what matter in the end, and have that conversation to make sure everybody was comfortable with the story that we're trying to tell. Just goes to show, and I think that also translated to our story and how beautiful it was, because we were so comfortable in what we were able to tell.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm really proud of all of us.
I want to circle back, if that's okay.
Okay, before you do,
yeah, do it.
Mike Quad asked, what is the total now? The total right now is $26,252 that we have raised. So we're already up another $250,000 since we started, which is pretty freaking
Thank you, guys. Y'all are amazing. Forrest and Kate, I just want to make sure that you guys got a chance, if you wanted to share about your oh shit moments, because I know that we kind of chased some rabbits, and I wanted to make sure that you guys were able to be heard.
DM's gonna DM.
It's just like a good DM, Jesse.
No.
I don't know. I think mine was Archie, and it feels really cheap to say that.
I knew you were going to say that.
I was like, it was so funny because like both this show and Tales of the Wasted West happened in my life, like when I was going through some weird shit, and so like it was like there was like this weird through line of, and like the comfort of like being at a table with like friends who I know and trust implicitly, and then this like character who like really did get me through a really hard time. Like that, I think, was the moment where I was like I am unable to keep it together. And it was like, yeah, it was like a little cameo thing, but it was like, it just, for me, like Kate, the person who has had like not an amazing year, like it has been, that was like really meaningful. And I think it wasn't even like an oh my god moment. It was like an oh my god, I have real friends and real people in my life who really care about me, and that's really fucking special. And to be here doing this thing with them, oh my god, my life fucking kicks ass. Like that's what I felt. That's what I felt like. Haha. Take that.
I think you made Jesse Jerdak cry a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Well,
that's
I'm just being honest.
That's very meaningful. I didn't know that, sis. I mean, I knew you were going through some shit, but we're all going through some shit. So I didn't know that was meaningful to you in that way. So that's nice to hear.
I think, especially for me with Archie, it was nice to see a happy ending for a character that we didn't get a chance to really revisit the story of, right? Because we were all hoping that tale of the Wasted West would have further stories, and that like we would be able to explore it more. And things happen, and that's totally fine. Some stories need to end where they end. And to then be able to see one of the characters from that show have that happy ending, have a long life, have a family, I think it just, especially to me, gave that hope that things are going to turn out okay, that there is a happy ending. It might be long, but some things are going to turn out okay. And having that validated on set, I think, really hit it home for me. And that was why I was so grateful to see Archie in that. I was like, oh my God, hell yes. This beautiful, especially people don't understand, like Archie was the most lovable, but probably the most like quintessential example of a himbo. Like the poor guy is like, we were all so worried. We're like, oh, what is Archie gonna, like, how is he gonna turn out? Oh, I hope Archie's gonna be okay. And I'm so glad of all the characters, he was the one that turned out okay. Like his story had a happy ending. I don't give a fuck now about what my character went through or what will happen to him. He can be dead in a ditch somewhere, and I'm happy about that. That's totally fine. The fact that Archie was the one was peak, and I love that.
That's good to hear.
Jesse, what was the thing that surprised you the most? What best laid plans went off the glay for you?
All right, big spoiler for end of the campaign. In 5, 4, 3, 2, some things emerged through Amelia's character development that strongly adjusted the way that we ended that final altercation. That's kind of the trademark of a great DM. Anyway, but the ability or the need of where that story was going through revelations in and out of character that I had not been made privy to because things just happened organically. The way that final encounter went down was more of a surprise to me than anyone, because I had like how it was going to probably happen if the players didn't get involved, and then because because of largely the way that Amelia revealed that her backstory worked out, and the way I was able to work that into the overarching plot of the Apron Strings. Initially, I wasn't going to have the final boss be so villainous. She was going to be benevolent the entire time, but the way we had written Amelia's character posed a sincere threat to everything that the mother had established. And so with that, out of not only self-preservation, but preservation of all the lives that the mother was keeping intact, she would have to have acted for the greater good. To
Vindicated.
Yeah.
Fucking vindicated.
I mean, maybe. And so I made some decisions, some RP decisions, like as we were filming the second to the last episode, because I was like, look, the mother is not going to be able to abide Retha. And so when people are asking things like, how many other worlds has this happened to? I improv'd countless. How many other worlds is this? And does anybody survive on the original world? They all survive, but they're all part of the mother. Originally, the mother was just going to be much more come and go as you please. But with Amelia needing to be the focal point of her self-preservation instincts, I needed to show that there is a danger and a lack of choice here. Otherwise, my original thing was for you guys to get to the middle of the final fight and side with her. And be like, you know what? She's right. She's going to take care of everybody. Or at least the idea of the final boss of the campaign was going to be, is it better to just side with the big bad? And that to me, the big bad of the campaign is that question. And I wasn't going to answer that for all of you. I was just going to roll with it. So there's that. So that was my big surprise.
I think you mentioned something like that to me afterwards. It was like you wanted to explore that theme of like bodily autonomy versus like health and security or something like that. And like as you can live forever and be perfectly healthy and better than you've ever been, but you have to give up your individuality. Is it worth it? And like having that be like the main overarching question of the whole thing is it puts a new spin on it. Looking back and editing it and going back over it is a totally different lens than experiencing it for the first time. You know what I mean?
Well, because Forrest fucking Valkai did this thing when we were planning to do the first season of this. He was like, and he was being cool about it. He wasn't being a jerk, but he did a thing that players don't often get to do. He's like, I kind of want to fight a Genius Loci, which is an established D&D monster. And
my idea was way different than what you did, though. I threw out a random idea, and I had my whole idea was like, I came up with this campaign that I called The Curse of the Carrion Cult, which was about the Genius Loci being like this flesh pit, this sentient flesh pit that people are like sacrificing things to. And it was like this bizarre, disgusting, grotesque, I made it fucking Lovecraftian. And Jesse's like, oh, fuck
Don't
you.
say
I'm going to get
pit.
into your...
Don't
Jesse's like, I'm going to mess with your feelings, not your disgust center of your brain. We're going to mess with your heart.
Yeah. But usually players don't get to pick the big bad of the campaign. So I had to find a way to make it interesting. Well, not to make it surprising to even you, Forrest. And so that's kind of where this plot line of, okay, yeah, this exists, but also is it the bad guy? Also, is free choice that good in the first place? Also, you want to be immortal because you can at will. Go for it. So anyway, what about you, Forrest? What about your biggest uh-oh shit moment?
It wasn't a no shit moment. The moment that took me back the most and that really like excited me the most and everything was actually before we filmed. And it was so I didn't know anything about like the overarching story, but Jesse and I worked closely to make sure that we were like how we were building this thing. We were both production designers on this. And so I knew a lot more than the other cast members did, but nothing that would be a spoiler, nothing that would tell me anything about how the story was supposed to go. I didn't know any of the encounters, I didn't know any of the builds, I didn't know any of that stuff. I just kind of like had some ground on like what kind of thing we were trying to do. And as we alluded to before, I wrote like a 25-page document about my character and the backstory and everything, and that happened because of the amount of times that I got on the call with Jesse, and we wrote insane amounts of lore just by bouncing. He wrote, we bounced off together and like discussed, and I asked really fucking detailed questions, and he had really detailed answers about like the political history of the country from which Victor came from, and like where he stood in the social hierarchy of that country, and why it is that medicine works the way that it does in that country, and where they're getting their tech from, and like all these like absurd, like I could tell a fucking hour-long story of like Victor's life from birth to where he gets to the where you meet him on the train because of Jesse, because he and I sat up late night several nights in a row talking about all of this and how Odvaha was actually like under the oppressive rule of the kingdom of Tisk right next door, and then they fought for their freedom and there was a big revolution, and that's why it's called the sovereign nation of Odvaha instead of just because their sovereignty is very important to them, and they're this island nation that only gained their independence 100 years ago, and they tried capitalism for a minute, but it felt too much like the Tiskian overlords, and so it's like, and we had this whole fucking thing, and so like so much of the story is stuff that we were not able to bring onto the camera, but that was my, oh shit, this is really cool, we're going to do an amazing project moment, was a month before we actually got to film, when I got to stay up late at night, several nights with Jesse Jerdak, talking about the deepest, craziest fucking plot and ridiculous information about every country on the map that you will never fucking hear about unless we do a season 8.
That, and now that this came, and sorry, you guys are going to hear squeaky in the background.
It's cool.
I would like to find a way to sort of fill out the wiki a little bit more and then make it publicly available, because there's a lot of really cool stuff there. I didn't make it public until we were done because there was spoilery stuff in there about characters we hadn't met yet. It was totally internal. It was largely just for our use, mostly my use, to keep things straight. But I think it would be really cool to show all of that world building that you and Jesse did, because there's a shit ton of it that even I know about that we didn't get to at all. We just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes from my preferred style of DMing, where I don't do a lot of session prep, session to session, because I do it all before the campaign. I know the world, and that way I can improv everything. I know what the characters want out of everything that they do. I know what their goals are, and I know what will happen if the players don't interrupt them. And that way I can just improv the entire fucking thing. So my session notes, campaign to campaign, are like 3 words on a page, and then I look at them before the next session, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but let's roll. So concrete world building, I think, is super important if you want to tell a big story, and so that's what we did.
There is, I'm actually looking at the wiki right now, and Kirka is the only one that does not have a nickname. We've got Azad Ringworm, Gwen Baby Girl Copperplate, Retha Mark Giannis, and Victor Stretch Vindica as the pages listed on that wiki.
She is briefly, at one point, Azad, I think, calls her the Fiery One, or someone calls her the Fiery One, but it's not the same as like a nickname.
Yeah.
I think it was just characterizing people at that moment.
Yeah. You're right.
Should we do another question? That was a great question. Whoever asked
that. We've got a ton of questions both in fan Discord and also I'm seeing some in here. I
think I can do only a few more before I have to go take care of my my little tornado here.
Your couch hippo?
Okay,
that's fine.
My couch hippo.
Someone asked what was Retha's arm exactly. She's not here to answer it. Jesse, do you want to, or do you want to skip over it so she can answer it in the chat later?
I will say this. If we get to do a campaign 2, you'll find out.
Okay. You answered this one. A lot of these questions were answered by us, like, talking. Do you have a particular favorite memory of filming? Of just, like, of the week that wasn't on camera? Just a thing that you remember of that whole week that you want to share. And if not, it's okay, because I've got a different whole situation that I just saw a really great question that is meaningful to me later on. Jazad has his hand up like he's in school.
Two that I
also just called you Azad. I just realized.
Hey, I'll chalk it up to my acting. I think two of them that I'm so glad that are also captured on camera. I mean, the whole thing was magical, but these two moments just really stick out to me. One is just us three in bed, just chilling and chatting, and that seeing that image just makes me smile. Yeah. Makes me so goddamn happy. And then the other one that I'm proud I captured was the moment. It felt so tender to me, was when Charlotte was fixing Amelia's hair, and I was able to capture that moment.
I love that photo so much. I love
that photo so much. It's just like, it just shows the level of tenderness and care and love and just like how much we all put into just ourselves into this production. Just seeing those two moments, I think, just goes through. And I think that my favorite memory is me personally getting to show RRR to most of the crew at the end of all of it. Forcing them to watch.
I'm going to jump in on this one, if that's okay. Because there's just a moment I really got to draw attention to is when we were rapping. And I was probably as physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausted as I've ever been in all of my years. But we had this feeling of, we done it. We done good. As long as the footage looks good, this was amazing, and it turned out better than I could ever have hoped. And then my asshole friends put on these goddamn mushroom hats in the middle of my scary, intense scene. But after that, the Corries, but probably with the help of Mr. Erik Gude, had made a mushroom cake. And we had this like party, this celebration as a family. And we had cake and hugs, and I was crying. I don't know if anybody else was crying. I was a mess. And I don't know. That's a moment that a lot of people don't ever get. To have accomplished this collaborative art storm, and then as a family just exhale and celebrate each other. Yeah. And that was one of the most special things that's ever happened to me.
I'm looking right now. I think I have some really good pictures of the cake, and I will put those on my Instagram tonight. Yeah. I'll put a good cake pic up there.
I think I've got a little video of that too. I think we all had I think I've got a picture of everyone else with their phones out trying to get this cake. What are you doing?
I'm just trying to do a live stream.
Sorry, it's the dog. Sorry.
Any other moments, guys?
Oh man, I when we went outside and played in the snow. That was fun.
That was so fun because it was like 2 feet of snow out there, which for me in North Carolina is pretty good. We get that once every few years, maybe. And it was a really peaceful, magical thing to have happening while there was all this production chaos going on inside, and we just went out and like romped around in the snow for a little while. I liked every time we had a little break and I could go back in kitchen number 2, and Erik Gude and Erica Beck were Erica-ing away, making us a wonderful meal, and Erik was usually singing some beautiful, ridiculous song, and the house was full of beautiful smells, and people were starting to pour various liquors, and it just was anytime we had sort of like a family time, people sitting around on the floor just shooting the shit, felt like it was a really good reason to fly 2,000 miles to hole up in a house that I wasn't allowed to leave for 6 days.
Sorry.
My favorite memory is every morning when I woke up like this, because I'm just always like this, and Charlotte stared at me as if she wanted me to catch fire in that moment.
I did.
Just the hate. The hate in your eyes is my favorite part of the whole shoot. I remember it to this day.
Do you sleep?
Nah.
No.
I'm just this all the time. I can't be stopped. I can't stop, and I can't be stopped by any means.
And you were like constantly jiggling your leg beside me while we were filming, and I did like hold you down. It's like I can see your individual atoms moving.
Yeah, it doesn't quit. It hasn't quit for 32 years. My mind is like a noisy concert hall, and my body matches it, and it's just how it is, you know.
But that's part of how we got to do this, because you did not stop. You and Jesse just did not stop planning this, and it's an absolute testament to your absurd efforts that we achieved such a beautiful thing.
Really quickly, does anybody else have to answer that question? Because there are a couple of good things in the chat that I wanted to address. Okay. One person asked how much needs to be donated for campaign number 2. Jesse and I have big plans. And basically what we've decided is we want to switch things up every single time. We want to bring in new people all the time and switch people around and see who matches what energy and everything like that. So there's absolutely no promises besides the fact that Jesse and I are going to be there. But that said, we do have like numbers that we tried to attach to it, and we already have a lot of people that like want to help out. We just have to make sure we get the sponsorships to do it. And so there's a lot. I don't want to make a. We have already raised significantly more than we put into this project. So the charity has already justified its existence, and we are already at that point where it would be acceptable to do a number 2. However, this was the single most tasking thing that I've ever done. And so like Jesse and I decided before we started that $30,000 was like our soft goal. The minimum of like, okay, yeah, we can probably like take the time to do this again because holy crap. And $50,000 is the big goal that we actually want to hit. So if we hit $50,000,
we'll just do it.
Done. If we hit 30, then we're like, yeah, this is probably a good idea. We can probably make this work again because it takes a long time to pull off and a lot of effort to pull off, hundreds of hours. Like the week that we were filming is nothing compared to the weeks beforehand when Jesse was building and the weeks afterhand that I was editing. And it's just nutty. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. It's about $30,000 is our soft, small goal of like, okay, fuck it. We can probably pull it off. But 50K is the actual plan that we really wanted to hit.
I took you off the screen, Forrest. You're not in control here.
Damn it.
You can tell towards the end of the filming, like if you look at the difference between Jesse on episode 1 and Jesse on episode 14, I am puffy and exhausted and the bags under my eyes are ridiculous. This was a labor of love that came at great cost to my body. And since then, I don't know if you can tell, the face very different. I am 60 pounds lighter because I was just not taking care of myself going into this production because I have a normal job and then I would work all night on Roll for Initiative, and I did that for months. So there is a human cost that we need to figure out, and if we do this again, we need to figure out how to offset that a little bit because I mean, I sacrificed my body for this for a little while. I wasn't able to fit into most of my clothes, and I am just now starting to feel like Jesse Jerdak again.
I feel like I haven't seen Amber in months. Like the first time I saw her again was like a couple of weeks ago because like it was literally I'm still doing a fucking grad school. I'm doing a second master's right now, so it was like 8 hours of cutting people up and then come home and like 12 hours of editing and then just fall down and then get back up and do it again every day.
Is it maybe as simple as just a longer timeline between
seasons?
Yes, that's 2 years instead of 1?
That's a big part of it, but like we don't. But that sucks. 2 years.
No, it doesn't.
Come on, man.
People are
It's
used
Sherlock
to that.
energy. It's because we're just bringing Sherlock energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Sherlock
we're all
can
busy
suck
people.
every genital I own. We want to do this.
How many do you
in
own?
like
How many?
Don't ask that question. He
None
has
of
a
your
lot.
fucking business.
Sorry.
So many.
We're not that close of friends.
You can't just ask how many
Also,
genitals a person
why don't
owns.
you just here's my pitch. Ready?
Oh.
Here's my pitch. I'll DM the next one. And then you and Jesse can play.
Oh.
And then that way Jesse doesn't have to stay up late painting. I'll just do it all the night before it's due and it'll be fine.
Okay. But also though, then how do we get all of Jesse's amazing voices? And more important question, does campaign 2 feature beef?
Campaign 2 beef is the BBEG.
I will say this. There are plans to have beef back. I am not promising campaign 2, and you'll see why if we get to do it. Forrest knows more about the setting of campaign 2. And,
he does.
I actually want that to be a surprise to the other players.
Yep.
I get that.
But,
I will selfishly, with all of the wonderful little open-ended things we had at the end of the last episode, I do very much want to see the adventures of Kirka and Retha.
Me too.
Going off doing dragon hunting or whatever they're doing. And,
I've thought about doing several like one-shots. I thought that would be kind of fun. I thought that would be a lot of fun because there's just a lot of story there. Kirka felt like she was a piece of a larger story and setting than we were ready to tell, and I would love to honor that. And I will say that if we get to do a campaign 4, that will come to light.
I also selfishly say that I want to raise a little more money simply because I want you guys to delegate and have the money to fucking delegate.
So the thing is, it's like we agreed early on. Jesse and I agreed that we were going to do this. So I'm an incredibly quixotic person, and Jesse is too. We both kind of meet on that thing. It's why
I don't know the meaning of the word.
Okay. But we because of that, we agreed that we were not going to take any public donations to fund the actual production. We would only allow public donations to fund to pay for Doctors Without Borders. However, we need money to do this. I sunk several $1,000s into it, but I couldn't do the whole thing. And so we needed sponsors. And so we set up a 501c3 in order to take sponsors from like corporate sponsors and make sure those were clean. Everybody could see we didn't touch anything. Everybody could see we weren't fucking around. And so like, that's the only reason we were able to do this, because we got 2 big donations to make it happen. It was Cobalt Press, and then one private donor who just really, really wanted to make this thing go. And so if we were to do this again, we would need significantly larger sponsors as well, or sponsor individual, depending on what happens. And so like that's kind of the big thing is we want to hit 30K raise for Doctors Without Borders, because that is the whole point. And then when we do another season, when we reach out to sponsors, whatever tabletop companies want to participate, we would need a bigger funding in order to run the game properly again, and do more stuff, and then hopefully raise more money. Because quite frankly, the people who have seen this show fucking love it. And it's criminal that not enough people have seen it, because I think more people who saw it would also fucking love it, and we'd raise more money. It'd be great.
Well, we need a dedicated channel for this, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, that was one of the questions. Was people were asking, are we going to keep putting it on my channel? I put it on my channel because I already had a bigger audience that I could shove it in their faces. However, my audience are all in there for science stuff, and so like some of them wanted that and some of them didn't. We also had great success with the first time we ran Roll for Initiative with Jesse, Catie, and I. And we did the first trial run of this, and we ran it on my channel, and people fucking loved it there. And they're like, oh, hell yeah, I'm a nerd. I like science, and that's why I'm here for D&D stuff, because it was D&D at the time. And so, like, we will never know what would have happened if we had started a new channel and gotten an algorithmic boost from new people who are only there for that. If it would have gone way worse or way better, we just it's up in the air, and I could make a good argument for either one. But like,
I will say that I think for the initial push, it was good to put it on your channel. But now that we have established a base established what we're about and what this show is about, I think it deserves its own dedicated channel. So then that was where its home is, where it can grow. You can have, appropriate things happen there. And then you can use your platform to then boost that. We can all use our platform to then boost that channel and get the right people.
Maybe so.
Also, we have... Oh, Kate, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, also, this feels like a good time to shout out our incredible clips person, who is the kind human who came in and was like, hey, you have a lot of footage and you can't put 4-hour videos on TikTok. So Zombie, thank you so much for your clips and the work that you did on this show. You were single-handedly the reason why we had content to advertise. So thank you. And also, Forrest, my question for you is, are you going to leave these up on your channel for at least a while?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And someone also asked in the comments of, like, if we did put on a new channel, we could do a re-release to raise money there. And like, honestly, if I reposted the videos on a different channel, I could still join the same fundraiser, and so the numbers would be the same. And you could see it, out there. So yeah, I think it's a good idea, and I'm willing to dick around with it at a certain time. Thank you, by the way, to Ryanku, who donated $50 just now.
Thank you, Ryanku.
I mean, well, and the other thing that we have now that we didn't have when we started is this wonderful fan Discord, which is a really great place to start building a community and maybe getting little bits and pieces of the things that people would like to see in the next one. We've got this wonderful fan art. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we could share to get people engaged and excited. And if we're keeping this content up, it'll never be too late for people to discover it, I think we did something really cool, and I want as many people as possible to see it. And now I get to do all the cool, like, we can share all the behind-the-scenes stuff and stuff like the party and building the sets and all the stuff without, worrying too much about spoilers, because some of that, the process of planning it, I think, was just as interesting as actually doing it.
Yeah.
Discord, can I just say how great it is? Because already Dylan has put out an art of...
Yeah!
It's like, I just like birds.
Are you serious?
On the Discord?
Oh, Dylan's amazing.
Oh my god.
Wait, really?
They are the shit. They are so amazing.
Oh my gosh. I see it. I love it. They called in. I was on Skep Talk 2 days ago, I believe. I was hosting with my friend Erica and Dylan. They called in, and we put their art on the screen for all of the atheist people to enjoy as well. Friggin' amazingly talented. Super cool. Very happy to have them here.
Thank you. That's really cool.
Charlotte, how you doing on time? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'll peace out in a couple more minutes here.
Cool.
Let's get some more questions.
When you do, could I get you to stay connected to Zoom and maybe just turn your camera off or something? Otherwise, I can just redo the frame on the OBS.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'll do that for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
When it's time.
And that way, anytime somebody wants to leave, they can just do that. And I
might just step away for like a couple minutes and take this one outside and then come back.
That would be cool too.
I would like to hear another question.
I would too.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Somebody do a question.
I've got one question that's from the Discord is specifically asking about like how I wrote Victor as a skeptic. I'm going to answer that in the Discord because that's going to be a lot of just me talking about just one guy. I also am seeing this question in the live chat about what's the lore of the region Gorkia-Vitir. Stay tuned. Jesse and I have big plans.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jesse and I have big plans, and he and I have already written out my characters for the next 2 seasons and how we're going to make things work with those. And I believe it is season 3. My character will be from Gorkia-Vitir. And there's another 20 pages worth of lore there, and I've already written half of it. So just stay tuned, because that's a very cool region with a really cool culture that I'm excited for you to learn about. They also question was how does Tales of the Valiant stack up against D&D, and like what are there any things you do or don't prefer, things you do or don't like about it? How did it, bearing in mind that these were our biggest sponsor, what were they, how was it?
It sucks.
So Tales of the Valiant.
Okay, I will die on the hill that Kobold Press has this. If you are a player like me, where you're like, a little bit of character, a little bit of like, knowledge of the rules, and just like a lot of like, can I do this weird fucking thing to cause as much chaos as possible? Kobold Press's spells fucking slap, as the youth say. And like, they have such good spells and such good ways of using them, and they're all just ridiculous and they're so interesting. And I like them because for both a DM and a player, open to a random spell, it's going to give you some really interesting character stuff. It's going to give you really interesting role play stuff. It's going to give you really interesting game mechanic stuff. Like, Kobold Press's spells fucking rule, and people don't talk enough about it. And that is my soapbox. Thank you.
Totally agree. No, I totally agree with that. It's very do lean in as much as you want kind of thing. The spells were cool. The spells were really fun. I always play magic users, and so I feel like I've done almost as many variations of like I cast fireball as I can. But I got to do some really cool, like, I mean, the Care Bear Stare stuff that we did was just really fun. I mean, just some of that, just superficially, they just had some really cool and fun spells. I really loved the versatility of the character options. I mean, some of that is also a shout out to Jesse because he let us homebrew some things, but I felt like the Tales of the Valiant was made homebrewing really easy. There were a lot of things to pick and choose from. We did pick from a couple of different systems, but Tales of the Valiant had some really great stuff in there that made that kind of a no-brainer. I'm going to step away for a second. Before I do, I want to say that I feel like us learning about that system and utilizing that system was made so much easier by Shard Tabletop.
By Shard Tabletop. Yep.
Yes,
Shard.
Let's go.
And Nick at Shard Tabletop made it so easy for us to just pull out our little iPads and just push buttons and do the things that we wanted to do without having to crunch numbers. It was a really fun experience to let us focus on the story, and I'm very, very grateful to them for all of the work they put in for that.
Seriously, yeah, that's I think like Shard with Tales of Valiant, there's so many things. Jesse and I were planning on this for a long time, and we were trying to make it work with D&D, and there were so many things that simply would not have been possible for my characters, I know specifically, but also looking at some of the other characters, well, just a lot. There's a lot of stuff that just would not have been possible to do through D&D system. So I'm sold on it, and I can say earnestly that I prefer Tales of the Valiant at this point. I really genuinely do. Having played both of them, I actually genuinely just like it better because it's more customizable, it's more fun at an early level, it's weirder. It's great. Thank you to Sorcerons and to Blast Rights, who have both donated while we were asking these questions or answering these questions. You guys are awesome. And also now we're almost to 26. Where are we at? We're almost to another $500 mark. I'm gonna go back and redo the math here.
Do the math. Sis, are you doing okay over there?
Oh, I'm great. I was just trying to sneakily post about this live on Twitter and hope nobody was noticing.
Called out immediately.
How dare you do this?
Go ahead, KP.
Listen.
I was going to just say on my end, I think I'm very, very, very biased. So take what I say with, actually, screw it. Take my what I say with as gospel. Cobalt Press has always done fantastic work. They've had some. I've had the privilege of working with their systems, or like their world building and their like the backgrounds that they've created, the classes that they've created, the spells that they've created on multiple different productions and stuff. And then to see that then distilled down into Tales of the Valiant itself, I think it was great in that it was just enough familiar for people who wanted to have that D&D experience but jump into a new system to be easily able to do that. But then because of how vast Cobalt Press's backlog of material is, to be then able to access that material through Tales of the Valiant and do all these cool things and have it completely integrated. And I forget who had to do most of this. I think it was you, Forrest, where you had to literally grab things from like spells from the rest of the things that weren't compatible with Tales of the Valiant, but you were able to easily bring it. Oh, not Tales of the Valiant, D&D spells, but like they had a very cool table that could easily be converted into Tales of the Valiant stuff, which was fantastic, right? So I love how easy they facilitate play and facilitate storytelling, right? And the selfish aspect to it, and this is pure selfishness, is Azad's class is a class that I wrote for Cobalt Press. It is an official class that I wrote for them, and I never thought I'd ever get a chance to play it. And if we hadn't done Tales of the Valiant, I don't think this would have been the class I would have gone with for him, but it worked so freaking well, especially after the conversation between me and Jesse to make Azad align with the bad guy. So I don't think I ever mentioned it on screen at all, but Azad's class is called the Open Sky Psychopomp. For those who are unfamiliar what a psychopomp is, think basically Chiron from Greek mythology. A psychopomp is someone who can ferry the dead to the afterlife and help communicate with them and so on and so forth. And so the idea that because Azad is dead and he works with something that is essentially dealing with death, it was the perfect class for him. And the psychopomp also it's like a duality between, okay, how do you preserve life, but also if you need to end life, how do you end life? So it's like it was supposed to be a fusion between cleric and rogue, and it just worked so well in this scenario. So I was so glad personally I got a chance to play the class that I wrote for it. And it's especially personal for me because the class was based off of Indian death ceremonies, and how that is done in our culture, and how, because it originally came about because they wanted us to help redo the history of their Raven folk race, which when was created was very one note. I don't think they intended it to be problematic, but it ended up feeling to me problematic with how one note it was. And so the entire concept was, it comes from lack of understanding on what death is, and that's where hostilities come from and why people might not want to understand some things. I wrote an entire history for the Raven folk and redid that. I redid their religion and how you can understand it. And so all of that came about, and then that's where the Open Sky Psychopomp class came. And so that's my little thing for that.
What, sis? What's going on?
I care a lot about everything KP just said, but somebody did just donate $850.
Oh my God,
yeah,
Kay Jones!
Yeah, it's $850 freaking dollars. Absolutely nutty. I'm gonna redo the math. Damn you, Kay Jones!
Kay Jones,
making me redo the math.
And Moon Prism, thank you for your donations as well. I missed those earlier in the chat. Thank you so much.
Wow! Oh my God!
Jesus of Christland, dude.
Thank
$850 just dropped.
Can I just say how humbled I am by the generosity of our viewership? You guys
wild.
We have not had enough viewers to give as much as you have given.
Yeah, right?
You guys are so generous, and I'm so touched. We could have had twice as many viewers, and I would have not expected as much generosity as we got.
Seriously.
So the fact that you guys have absolutely made this endeavor worth it, for one, and so meaningful, and it's hard to put a fiscal amount on how much good we're doing and how much good you're doing.
Yeah. I can tell you the fiscal amount of how much Kay Jones is doing. It's $850. Thank you so much. Jesus. Kay Jones and Me and My Human, and we've had a couple others that have just been donating like
wowzers,
hundreds, multiple of dollars. It's absolutely bananas. And I'm blown away by like the community that's like surrounding all of this, because the people who can donate are fucking donating hard, and the people who can't are like helping to share and like promote and talk it up, and I think every episode we had like a consistent audience of people that were tuning in and participating and everything. It's just amazingly cool. And by the way, that brings us to $27,253.51 that we have raised for Doctors Without Borders to save lives in Gaza and in Ukraine and in Sudan and in Yemen and in Congo and in Chad and in other crisis zones all around the world. If you care about human beings, if you care about people, if you care about humanity, we're all damn near to 30K on helping that cause.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you all.
I love that. And people in the chat, I mean, Nick Six said, I wish I could give more, but little bits add up too. Like, anything is better than nothing, and anything you can give matters. And it really matters when you don't have a lot to give and you give anyway. I mean, that's huge.
The vast majority of our donations are like $5 and $10. And that's also, gotten us to 27,000.
And people just caring about matters too.
Yeah. Like, sorry, KP, I totally talked over you. You want to go?
Do it again.
I was just going to say, like, people don't think that matters. It's a free action. And just even that, because the more visibility we have on projects like this, the more people can then actually donate. The pool gets bigger, so people who can do so. So don't ever, like, you guys are just as much of a hero in all of this. So thank you so much. Don't put yourselves down because, oh, I can't monetarily support this. The sheer fact that you're here, sheer fact that you're supporting, sheer fact that you're talking about it, letting people know about it. I mean, the only reason it can go this big is because people know about it, right? And the right people then can hear about it and then have the funds to donate. So, you know, that all of that matters.
Yeah.
Hey, what were you gonna
say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that this is also a real, I know we've like lavished praise already, but like I cannot tell you all, as somebody who makes content for my job, the fact that the fans on the Discord server are so community oriented and active and involved and sharing. All of you in the chat come in, like that boosts our analytics. The fan art, the super cuts, all of the crazy shit that you guys are doing. It might not be money, but what it is helping us do is show that there's an audience and there are people who care about this and are excited to see these characters. And that is so incredibly valuable and so incredibly important when it comes to things, you know, just even like business wise, like sponsorships, that kind of stuff. Like we can be like, look at all the fan art. Like that's a real thing that real businesses look at. And so like, I just hope that you all know that whether or not you gave a single solitary dime, we are so grateful for you being here and watching and tweeting and interacting with our tweets and our posts and resharing and all of that, because that is the best possible way to spread the word and keep this work going is by y'all just yelling about it on the internet. And so we are just so grateful to all of you.
Most definitely.
And it makes also superficially, I mean, everything you guys said is true. It's also nice to know that people are watching. You know, like we put in all this effort and that, you know, Jesse and Michael and Eric, you know, like, and that team built all of this beautiful stuff and people are gonna see it. And you know that Forrest wrote an encyclopedia about his character and people are gonna get to see his character arc and this beautiful little family that we've put together. Like that just feels really nice. And it encourages us as content creators and performers to want to keep doing it. And to keep exerting that effort to do it for good causes. I know that's really, you know, it's a selfish, superficial component of it, but it is part of why we do what we do. So, I mean, thank you for watching and thank you for giving. It's huge. It makes everybody happy.
Should we do another question?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that questions exist.
What's up, KP? What do you got, buddy?
I was just going to say, I have a little baby that needs my attention, so I'm going to be soon.
Yeah, you do.
A bit. But I think there was one question I would love to answer before I head out, if I can. It's the entire, like, how did the conversation about Azad working with Big Bad? And I think there was also one question about if Azad could not be revived, what would have been the story behind that or something like that.
Thank you, Ericopedia, for donating $20.
Thank you, Ericopedia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ericopedia.
Thank you,
Ericopedia. Seriously though, I'm very curious actually on what Jesse thought when I pitched that idea to him. Because how that happened was Jesse reached out to me, and I will quote this and say, hey, we have a bunch of science nerds. I need an idiot with me. You and I can be the but basically like everybody else is super smart. I need someone who is super dramatic. Can you be my drama guy? And so that's how I joined the show. And I was trying to figure out what kind of a character I wanted to play. I immediately knew I wanted to play Azad. He's a character that I loved playing. I wanted to play in a grand adventure for a long time. I've had him for like one-shots here and there. And funny enough, the Azad that ended up happening is not a complete, there's elements of the original in there. But Azad was a pure, like, he was a D&D character, so he was a arcane trickster. He was a rogue. He was a very tricksy guy. His entire premise was like he's the Robin Hood type, where he wanted to just do the things for himself. If he can help people along the way, it's great. It's not a big deal, but he'll do it for if it comes across his path. But ultimately, he's in it for himself. The name Azad in Hindi and Urdu means freedom and free, to be free. And that's what he wanted. Like he chose that name for himself because he wanted to be free. And it goes back to a little bit of his backstory and his family and where he comes from. And he doesn't want to be tied down to anything, right? Which is kind of funny with how he then ended up being later on, the fact that he's so tied to the mother. And that goes into also how the spell broke finally on him later on. But I don't know what came over me, but I was like, I kind of want to play a bad guy. I want to see how that would work out. And so I pitched it to Jesse. I'm like, hey, what do you think if I worked with the big bad? Like I was like secretly on their side all along. No idea who the big bad was. Like I have no clue what the story for this is going to be, who any of this was gonna have, like none of it, right? And like Jesse ultimately was like, I love the idea, but I need you to understand this is now an ultimatum. If I tell you, you either need to commit or you're not going to be a part of this project. It's not going to happen. Like I cannot have you know who the big bad is. And no matter how much you say you're not going to metagame, it's going to seep in. And I just cannot have you be a part of this project. And so I was like, shit, I really want to play this game with these guys. I really, really want to be a part of this. It's so cool. But I also want to really fuck shit up and be a bad guy. I think that would be a cool thing. And finally, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's take this risk. And decided that, tell me, yeah, let's go with this. And that was when he told me about the mother and the mushroom. And I was like, shit, okay, now how I have this character. How do I? So my entire thought process was, well, he's leading them to assimilate the rest of the gang. That's the goal. He's here to I think my initial thought process was Azad is here to help the mushroom goddess, because I don't think it was called the mother at the time. I don't remember if it was or not. But his entire thought process was he's here to help facilitate her growth and spreading of, and to do that either, proselytize or identify threats. And to him, this party would have become the threat. And so his goal then for the rest of the campaign would be, how do I either convince them that mother is good and you should convert, or if you do not, how do I eliminate? And so that's how that entire train of thought started happening. And then what was magical is that as we played, I fell in love with all these characters, and I was like, I don't want to hurt them. I'm not a mean guy. I'm just a little guy. And so I was like, shit, no, he's going to now like these people, and he's going to do his damnedest until the very end to try and freaking convince them that, no, what you're trying to fight is not a bad thing. You should totally convert because I don't want to hurt you guys.
Thank you for sharing that, Catie. Yeah, that was a heck of a moment. Buddy, do you need to get going? I know Charlotte was able to like put a picture of her pretty face up there, and I know that like she was able to like leave to do that, and then that made me not have to redo everything.
No. It was more of just like eventually that will be my hard stop is coming. Is I just wanted to give a heads up. So
all right, cool.
10-15.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay, should we hit another question real quick?
Sorry,
yeah. My question was like,
yes.
what was your thought as well, like how that changed your entire.
Okay, yeah, I'll go into that just briefly because so yeah, I didn't want you to do that, and so you when you called and well, I called you, I think I don't know who called who. We called each other, and initially I was like, man, this fucking guy, but then I started thinking about how compelling that would be to have somebody that is working towards maybe a different goal, but again, my ultimate resolution for this was to force you guys to decide what's better for this town, and it was an unfair thing anyway. I was throwing some garbage in your lap, but because of the way that I had written out the way the mother was going to interact with the story overall, it actually worked out fine because she wasn't abjectly malicious. She was just this big organism who had a biological compulsion to spread and assimilate and join and become everything that she encountered. So eventually I was just like, okay, yeah. And then there absolutely was one. I'm like, look, I'm about to tell you who the big bad of this campaign is, and you're either the bad guy now or you don't get to play. And yeah, I think you're like, I need 45 minutes. and you called back, and I was like, all right, here you go, let's go. You're my what's the? It's not a stool pigeon. There's a I don't know, there's a term for it. And it's not stool pigeon.
Yeah. And I loved our little conversations on the side as the story was progressing. I'm like, okay, what do I do next? What do I do? What's happening next? And then like trying to like workshop the things that are going to happen between the party was making. Like
it was a wild narrative experience, for sure. All right, how we doing, question team?
We've got two more that I've got here. One of them was from the Discord asking if the apron strings were what Bazad cut getting away from the mother, and yeah, I think that was the main goal was this, and that was actually that's something that I had never heard. I had never heard that expression of the apron strings being an attachment to your mother. I didn't know what that was. So like the news, in case anybody doesn't know,
you're learning things.
Apparently, the apron strings are your attachment to a mother. That's what that word means. And I didn't know that. And so the whole time I was waiting for the goddamn baker to come out and fuck us. And like I didn't, and it never happened. And I was very upset and very confused.
I mean, it was a very clever double entendre. I mean, the baker was part of that allegory.
Yeah, the fact that Father Gran and the baker was putting bits of himself into all the bread to ship around the town. And you really only see it at the end, whenever like Raywin's bread is fine and his bread is horrific, and the cultures and stuff. It's all
I want to touch on that a little bit more. That's a fun thing. So
he's been touching on it enough.
Okay. Okay. There were I had kind of this through line throughout the entire story of the mother. So there were actually three mothers in this game, and that was intentional. There was Mother Mora, that Kate's character was largely connected to. There was Luciana, the goddess of purifying flame, and then there was also this big fungal creature that called herself the mother. And I wanted there to be confusion and ambiguity, and these three powerful mother figures that were controlling a lot of what was happening in the story. And that's where the term the apron strings came from, is that there were actually three mothers pulling the story in three different directions, and you guys could have sided with any of them. That's a fun lore drop.
And we chose none.
Which is probably the best choice.
That was amazing, though, the fact that we came to that decision.
I love a triad.
Daryl.
I love a Hecate.
Daryl also asked, what would happen if we had exploded the Dwarven Spire in game?
I want that answer too.
Yeah.
I have an answer that I think I know because you and I have talked about it, but Jesse, you might have something more detailed that you would want to give.
Yeah, so ultimately what you got to do as a DM is you have to come up with the most satisfying resolution for the players. And so if you guys had chosen to do that, I would have rewarded it a little bit, and I also would have there would have been a mild disappointment because the main biomass of the mother wasn't anywhere near that. It was still about a half a mile above. However, there were those cultures that were cultivated by what did I call him? The
Linnaeus Carl.
Linnaeus Carl, yeah. Mm-hmm. Those things were actually contained there in the spire, in the biolabs. The mother was the only one that was actually able to escape. And something that Amelia said during one of her monologues actually made the mother feel that she needed to go rescue these other cultures. And so I narratively said, when you guys were like connected to the mother, I said you feel the strength of untold force pushing through the earth, and that's because she was actually about to go rescue all of those like demented cultivars of this mushroom. And if you guys had not fought her, she would have brought those into the fold as well. But those things had been in seclusion for 50 years, being mistreated, being experimented upon, and then being abandoned. And that's why these creatures were so aggressive, is because they were basically children that had been mistreated and then abandoned for decades. So.
Now I feel like a jerk.
Yeah.
They were dangerous.
You mentioned to me as well, like, I don't know if it was still your plan, but like you had talked about how like the scale of the spire set and everything, and like the distance from the lava and the scale of the lava and all that, you intended that to be pretty literal.
Yeah.
And so you did mention saying that you were kind of debating, like, if we had dropped the spire, if all of the spire would have even made it in the lava,
right,
and how much of it might have splashed out of the lava and still been a very real, now uncontained problem.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there. Yeah.
And that would have been an in-the-moment decision, because if you guys had expended a lot of resources and time and story and RP and narrative to have this final resolution of dropping that thing in the lava, I probably would have just allowed it to happen, because saying, oh, you worked really hard for this and it still sucks to a bunch of players and also the viewers is very unsatisfying. So I probably would have narratively made it make sense. But in my head, the lava is a trickle and the spires are huge. But
that makes sense.
If you guys had really broken your backs to make that happen, then I would have rewarded it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't know if you had another fan question. I know we're wrapping up, but I just had another question for Jesse. That's unrelated.
Ask yours.
I hope everyone would like to hear the answer to. Jesse, what was your favorite NPC to do?
Oh man, that was a tricky one. So I think it's everybody's two favorites. I don't know. I have three. Okay. I'll say this. Beef was entirely improv. Just 1,000,000% just improv. No planning. Beef was just like, I will just say whatever comes to my head, and that's what we got. Was Beef was a giant half ogre in a tight vest that thought that that Kirka was a lovely dancer, and he saw to the true core of Kirka in ways that sometimes other people couldn't. The dragon was a character that when the kobolds reached out to me, they were like, "Hey, we need somebody to play a kobold." And I'm like, "I'm not going to make the players play a thing that they don't want to play." And they're like, "Oh, how about an NPC?" I'm like, "You got a deal." And so I was like, "I can make this the most charming fucking kobold anyone's ever seen on a camera," and I hope I did. So as far as intentional NPCs, the dragon was up there. I also loved Dr. Eisenbud, and I was hoping we would get to play with Dr. Eisenbud a little more, because it's just having a cute little old German grandpa is just a fun thing.
Yeah, he was delightful.
Yeah, man, I got Raywin. For those of you that met Cassandra, she was my assistant on set the first day. Raywin is one of Cassandra's D&D characters, and I tried to emulate Cassandra the best I could. Cassandra's a dear friend of mine in real life. She was helping me around set on the first day. She went and picked up some sound equipment for us when ours exploded, and Cassandra is such a sweet lady in real life, and I wanted to make a tribute to her. So Raywin, being the innkeeper that we dealt with, it's literally the name of one of her D&D characters, and I did my best to emulate Cassandra the best I could and put her into the game. So those are my top picks.
Okay, she was great. And also I want to then put an addendum on one of my previous answers about like what was the most gratifying surprise for me when the dragon opened his mouth and that sound came out. Tremendous. Peak moment. Well done. Yeah, made me really happy.
That's probably my favorite episode. We didn't do any big cool sets that episode either.
No.
That was all just RP storytelling and improv.
Theater of the mind.
But it was so fucking good. And
yeah. Then can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Because this one's for Forrest, who's muted.
Sorry, I've been sitting here talking the whole time. I apologize. Yes, that whole episode was wall-to-wall awesome. Also, thank you to Bunny Brains for donating 5 of your colorful last dollars to help save lives all around the world. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bunny Brains.
Forrest, how was this role-playing acting experience for you? Because you and I kind of knew each other on TikTok. we weren't super close before we started this. You know, you're like the biology guy, the atheist biology guy, and I wasn't sure what your D&D TTRPG background was like, and you killed it. As we went on, you really had really great character growth, and I felt like there were moments where you were really getting into it, and I was just wondering how that
I appreciate that
experience was for you.
That's very kind of you. I felt like I was the fucking lamest one there, but thank you. I should let you know because I don't think I actually told you this. This was my first time playing a game like this in a real way. Catie has done 2 little other charity things with me where we just fucked around on a stream and kind of joked around with like some stuff. And I used to play D&D type games like when I was like a little kid, and it was just like family and friends. There's no rules, and also we didn't actually play anything. We were all just fucking around, and sometimes we talked about fantasy stuff. And it would just sucked. This was my first ever actual game that I've ever actually played with rules and stuff. And with actual RPing and with all the things.
What was your first actual play?
Yeah, and so I tried to bring my A game both technically and actingly. And I tried to invoke a lot of emotion in some ways, so much so that you stopped the game on more than one occasion to ask if I was actually crying. But for reasons like I mentioned earlier, we had written a shit ton of lore that didn't make it to the screen. Having Victor just fucking hating his way through this entire adventure because he comes from a place that is technologically reliant and doesn't have magic in it anymore and is very much like prog level, just like this up and coming like industrializing place that doesn't have that. And now he has to deal with not only being incredibly uncomfortable and incredibly sad and heartbroken and lonely and hurt and betrayed, and there's fucking ghosts and a tree monster. And just like it, I tried to make him as real as possible in all of those ways, and it seemed to work. And so for all the times that I was concerned that I was going to be stupid and overdramatic and ineffective, it turns out that you guys were just as silly and matched it in a great way, and very much fulfilling to me because it scratched a big creative itch. And as creative itches go, it is now 10 times itchier than before. And I want to make more stuff.
Welcome.
And Jesse and I can't stress this enough, have very, very big plans. And I called him. So just like a lot of the stories of things comes from me calling Jesse at a random time to ask him about something stupid. And then he just jumps on board with it. And while I was in Ecuador, I called Jesse because I was stranded on a beach for reasons. It's fine. And I had some service, and better service than I'd had in a couple places. I called Jesse. I was like, hey, would it be possible to like set up a rig that did this and moved this way and did this thing? And he's like, I don't think anyone's ever done that either. Fuck it. And then proceeded to tell me ways that it would work better than I thought. And that situation has happened about 80 times since we released episode 1. And so just Jesse and I, we got some ideas.
Okay, but you have to stop saying that you have big plans, knowing with all of us knowing that you're gonna swap out the cast.
Yeah, it's incredibly rude. Frankly.
I want to do it again.
I'm trying to promote it for the peeps watching, but also man, we don't know what anything's going to look like. We haven't made any final decisions.
I'll do my own game with Kirka. I don't care.
Fine.
Yeah.
Kate, you want to come to my game?
Yeah, I'll DM for you.
Okay, cool.
We'll do our own charity show.
Yeah.
My plan.
Yeah.
We'll raise money and do good for the world.
5. That's what it's going to be called.
Roll for initiative.
We'll just expand the cast, and we'll put more like 5 people on each side of the table, 1 person in the middle.
Oh no, poor Jesse.
And then we'll literally fight
Jesse will be hovering above us on a TV screen like Big Brother.
I feel like, look, we spent all this time, we built this rapport, we did this adventure together. We were all like enemies to lovers, and you can't just you can't just leave that in the gutter.
That's
I assure you that is not the plan. And also with what Jesse and I have discussed, it will be okay to have a different thing because the thing will be different in a different way, but also in the same way.
I love it.
How did you say it? How did you say it to me, Jesse? It'll be something completely different with the exact same story, but not at all, or something like that?
I said that we are continuing to tell this story in a completely different setting.
I love it.
I will
moon.
I will just say this.
The moon! Fire moon! Why?
I am not done with any of your characters. And you are your characters. That's what I want to say. I don't know what the future looks like because it's all budget. Oh, look at that!
Here, my staff
stick
came off. My stick.
How dare you do this?
But this, like I said, we want to tell this story, and this story is at least a 4-parter. The next season, you will find out some cool things about some cool things. I can't say anything because I don't want to spoil 1 second of this.
Yeah.
Fine.
But let me tell you, just from the little bits that I know, and just from the things that Jesse and I have already wrote, and just from the characters that he and I have developed, I need to spend a lot of money on props. But it's going to be very worth it. It's going to be very worth it.
You know a guy too.
We do know a guy.
Mm-hmm. You know some guys.
It's straight up silly, and I don't even know like all the things that he wants to say, but I know the things that I want to say, and they're really fucking stupid. And so I'm just gonna leave it there.
We really can't get into it, but
before I head out,
what's up? Yeah, go ahead, Keepy.
I gotta head out, but I want to say that regardless of whatever comes in the future, I'm so blessed to have been a part of this, and to have been able to meet you guys, and to have been able to play with all of you and tell this story, and also to chat for all of you. I wanted to say earlier about your performance, Forrest, by the way, when I was part of the, we did a live chat after the last game. I could not stop praising your performance. You inspired me in so many ways during that session, during our time out there. You were passionate. I think you have, honestly speaking, I think I literally told them, if he hadn't become a science nerd, he has a promising career in acting, because I think he genuinely had brought so much heart. I already kind of knew and expected this from the rest of the cast, because they're like, I've seen the fucking stuff. They're fantastic. They're old hats. I know what they're capable of, and that's already coming from that. I think, and Ames kind of just tangentially, I knew okay, yeah. She's been. I think you and Charlotte were the two that I just didn't know anything about. And the level of performance you both brought to this just astounded me at every step of the way. I loved the back and forth that we had in character, and it challenged me in so many cool different ways. And I'm just genuinely glad that we got to tell this story together and helped save the world and did what we could. And I think, like you guys are saying, this is not the end. Where it goes and how it goes, I'm excited to see. I'm happy to be on the sidelines for a bit and watch you guys tell more stories and raise more money, because I think ultimately in the end that's what we're trying to do is raise more money and save the world a little at a time. And I'm glad I could have been a part of that process. And seriously, thank you guys so much. And thank you.
It was such a pleasure to do this with you. You were so sweet. You have such a good heart. You're a beautiful storyteller, and a beautiful photographer. You made all of us look extremely fucking cool. And I would like the chat to... KP, tell the chat where they can go. If you're at a con and you want... if somebody needs a cool fantasy headshot, or wants their original character depicted as amazingly as you made us look, how do they do that? How do they hire KP Studios?
I have my own website. I have kp11studios.com. You have to make sure that you do the www for some reason. Otherwise, it goes to a broken page for some reason. Just do www.kp11studios.com, and I have a booking sheet on there to let me know you're interested. I always tell people, usually I'll announce on my socials that I'm going to a convention, that I'll be doing photos there. If I didn't announce it, I always like to tell people just, hey, if you can get a group of folks interested in doing photo shoots together, I'm happy to go wherever. I do my best to try to offset the cost of travel so that no one person ever has to feel the brunt of it. So my hope and goal is that if I get several people to do it, then none of you would have to face that, and you would just have to, I just charge the booking fee for it. All the other information, happy to chat off of that too. But, and also, if funding is an issue, I always like working with people to helping spread it out as best as I can. So that way, my goal always is to make you feel good and make sure that you have a photo that you love. I genuinely believe that every single person is beautiful and that they deserve a good photo, even if it doesn't have to be through me. I just need you guys to understand that you are beautiful and you do deserve a good photo. And the only reason you have ever not felt that way and not felt photogenic is because whoever did the photos of you sucked ass, or you just don't know how to do a photo of yourself. And that's it. That's fine. It's okay. It's a skill set that some cultivate, some don't. But that's okay. It's literally a skill issue and not your existence. You are gorgeous. And I'll leave you with that. So
I'm gonna hang on. I need the chat to know two things. One, that you and Kate were both Crit Awards nominees for Best Community Member, and that tore me up inside because I was like, but they are both the community member. I can't choose. And it's because you're both just such brilliant, kind people, and that absolutely shines through in everything that you do. And that another one of my favorite things that happened behind the scenes that nobody else saw except for you, KP, was that I was sleeping on the couch one night because I gave my bed to the Corries. We were doing like room musical chairs, and so I was sleeping on the couch, and I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning because you were just standing over me, having not seen that I was on the couch. I don't remember if I don't think I had pants on, but I did have a blanket on. I don't remember if you were wearing, I don't know. You were just standing there.
I wasn't.
Like, you took a sip of coffee or eating cereal. I just heard a slurp and I like lurched out of my dreams.
Grieved.
I literally was like, ah!
KP straight up Miss Elmstoned Charlotte, and it was a bad time.
And then it was your beautiful, kind face, and everything was fine. But I was like, am I going to get murdered in Colorado on the set of the game?
KP, before you go.
It's all part of the game.
But before you go, KP.
Yes, sir.
I just, I want you to know that this is a big story. And that it can't finish the way it needs to without Azad. And
I would be in whatever capacity.
It's not optional. I will kick your ass if you don't help me finish out the story. Love you, bud.
Love you guys.
Pull his arm, why don't you?
I will pull his arm off if he doesn't.
Oh God!
I'm like a fucking
you
Wookiee.
Could never.
No, I
you
couldn't.
Could never.
I physically could. It's just the emotional.
You physically could. It's not in you.
I couldn't. But I like to pretend to be.
There was a couple of brief questions left, and then I think it might be time to wrap things up anyway.
We've been here 2 hours. Yeah.
We've got Kay Jones.
What?
We're wrapping up.
Sis gave me one of these, and I just want to make sure that.
That was the international sign for wrap it up.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Kay Jones asked me, how is it like with my first TTRPG character almost killed off in the first encounter? Fucking hysterical. The fact that I could not roll above a fucking 8 on any combat encounter until the very end. And every other roll was great. Anytime I did a check in any part of the game, it was like an 18 or better. And anytime I was in danger, it was a 3.
Yeah.
Honestly, the fate of the dice played into the lore of the character beautifully.
Yep.
I think like the only big attack you ever made was on me.
Was you?
So I was like, you finally fucking roll well, and you roll it on me, this motherfucker.
You had a pretty good one in the cave.
Yeah, it's one decent one in the cave. If I had it all over to do again, I'm glad it went the way it did because of the scope of the game. But like, if this were a longer game, he would have only ever used magic in an absolute emergency anyway. I talked to Jesse actually about using medicine rolls as combat rolls to like slash precisely with a scalpel and shit. And like, we had a whole plan. And then we were like, hey, you have that much time to tell a big story. Do magic. And so like, it was just fine. Anna asked, is there a place to post fan fiction? Let's whoever's running the Discord, if they can make another chance. That'd be very funny.
What kind of fan fiction?
I will absolutely do another live stream charity fundraiser reading erotic fan fiction.
All
Azad. They didn't say. Hold on, they didn't say it was erotic.
They meant it. We also, somebody asked about the table for the final boss. I don't know where that question is. If you could please repost it, I'll be happy to answer it. In the meantime,
Forrest, can you tell the people who are our musician and our official character artist work? You tell us about the people who like made the things and our cartographer.
Yeah, our character artist was Tam. Cartographer is Wildcraft Maps, and musician our composers. The composer of the main theme song and all of the custom themes for all the like combat encounters and all of that. The slow ambient guitar you hear on the next time ons, the brief build up you hear on the last time ons. All of that was all done by Chase Noseworthy, who's fucking incredible. Kind, generous, amazing man who dropped everything when I would message him at random times like, hey, can you make one that sounds like this? And then would not only send me that, but send me 13 more iterations as I would send him sheet music saying, no, write it this way. And I would just send him back and forth. And he doesn't read sheet music, but I did it anyway.
I'm going to jump in because I got to tell you, Forrest is the coolest, sweetest guy I think I've ever met. Until he's talking to a composer, and then he's the biggest Karen you've ever fucking seen. We had iteration after iteration after iteration of every single little nuanced note that I couldn't tell the difference. I am a musician. I could play anything with strings. And Forrest, I was like, he's like, Forrest knows music intimately, apparently. Like, he knows everything intimately. He's a genius. And watching him, like, dicker over like the most minor pitch adjustments and tempo adjustments, and I'm just like, oh my god, why did I bring poor Chase into this? But they made Chase is a big fan of Forrest, that's why I brought Chase in.
Not anymore.
Now he hates
it
anymore.
Now, yeah, he's done.
But yeah, big shout out to Chase because the music he composed for this helped set the vibe of the entire series. And the patience he exhibited with Forrest Valkai is legendary.
Seriously.
Also, we have to shout out Mike Atchley.
Atchley. Sound guy
Mike. He was the other composer. Other composer. Yeah, he all the music you hear in the middle of the game as the game is going, almost all of that comes from Mike Atchley just writing that and making it work in the game. And he even posted some Foley art shit that he did for different stuff.
The stuff that he did for the Treant encounter, those wonderful tree moving sound effects were just so cool. He did such a great job of setting the mood.
We did that. He made that, and then the only other music was like a couple of licensed things that we bought licenses for, but like that came out of me. It wasn't nothing. Catie, you've done 2 other charity things with me. The very first one we ever did was called Donations and Dragons. And it was I didn't know how anything worked, and I brought on 9 cast members and we played a one-off game, and everybody got to do 2 moves through the whole game. It was terrible. No. But the DM for that game is this guy named Dustin, who's super fucking nice and allowed me to do whatever the fuck I wanted to, and oversaw that, and it was so good. We raised, like, it was my first thing doing ever anything. We raised, I think, $2,000 or $3,000 for the human rights campaign, and Catie was there for that. And the victory music, the whole victory sequence after we beat Mother and we wake up in the forest and the sun rises and there's that epic soundtrack. That's the music I used to announce that very first charity stream, by the way. It was a little secret callback for real fans to notice. Yeah, it was just a sweet thing there. The Donations and Dragons walked so that Roll for InitiaGive could run. But with that, the last question that we had was there was a mechanic that we couldn't figure out in the last fight, and I thought I figured it out. And fucking shit, dude. Me and my human donated $500 more dollars.
Oh followed by
Jesus of Christ,
an assist from Dioth with $20.
Thank you, Dioth.
Wow.
Me and my human, that's so generous. Thank you.
Thank you
totally
so much,
caught me off
everybody.
guard. So we got fucking the what was it? K something donated. K Jones
K. Jones
donated $850. Then me and my human comes in here with 500 on top of the 150 that they donated at the beginning. Flip, dude.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
do the damn calculations again because you charitable assholes keep fucking donating. But yeah, there was a mechanic that I thought I figured out because Jesse was saying like there's something you're missing every time the black lights went on, and I noticed that the tendrils were lighting up, and so I was like, oh yeah, the tendrils. Obviously, don't step on the tendrils. And I was so fucking close. It was the very end of the tendrils that only were visible when the black lights were on. It was the very dendrites of the neurons, yes. The very or not dendrites. It was axon terminals, strictly speaking. It doesn't matter. It's the very ends of the neurons on the ground. That's what was only visible when the black lights are on, and that's what we were being hurt by.
I thought I was so clever about that.
You were, but that's just part
clever
of it,
asshole.
Like being in the middle of the game, like because there was so much to look at, and you're thinking about what you're gonna do next. And I'm looking at the board. We're all trying to solve this stupid thing. Going, what are we doing? How are we getting killed so quickly? And it's right in front of us. When you watch it back, you can see the whole overhead shot, and you're going, yeah, you're standing on it, stupid. But like. Just it was right in front of me and I didn't see it.
You're not stupid. It was something you could only see like out of just a few seconds per round. It's not your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not really mad about it.
By the way, that brings us up to, if I'm right, I think I am. That brings us up to $27,800 that we have raised to save lives all around the world.
Dude.
Yes. Our fans are fucking amazing.
You guys, thank you.
That's all the questions that I've got. Does anybody want to send one out to wrap us up, or I think that might be the end of the stream.
I have a question.
Oh, what's up? Yeah. What's up, Kate?
I want to know from each one of you if I wanted to know more about you and where I could find you and what to do and how to support you and how to give you money. How might I do those things?
Can you give us an example of what you might say in that scenario, and then we'll follow up?
No, I got Uno.
Official Playboy writer, Catie Osborn.
Well, actually, So, I can tell you that I'm Catiesaurus on all platforms. I have a podcast. It's called Sorry I Missed This, and it's about how ADHD impacts communication, relationships, and intimacy. And Playboy magazine liked it so much that they asked me yesterday, this very eve, if I wouldn't mind writing a weekly column for them. So I am going to be a regular staff writer with Playboy magazine, talking about ADHD and intimacy and sex and writing smut. They genuinely, in the email, were like, also smut. So I will be writing y'all some smut.
Kind of what they do.
My old podcast that I know some of you OGs know about, Infinite Quest, is back tomorrow. The new season drops tomorrow, and I have a book coming out apparently in August of 2025, but no one seems to be able to confirm that. But I promise that it's real. So you can go to my website, catiesaurus.com, join my newsletter, which I know I said I was going to start in January, but I'm getting around to it, and find out more there. Okay, thank you.
I'm looking forward to selling your book in the bookstore where I work.
Thank you, Arshuando, for the $5. Also, you mentioned that like in other things you were writing, you found yourself using our character names as placeholders. If that happens with the smut, we now have a fan fiction channel.
It's true.
That's great. Next person, where can you be found? Pick one.
KP, because I know he's got to go for tiny
KP.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. You can find me as KP11 Studios on all your social medias. I am a photographer, a writer, cultural consultant, voice actor, and performer. I'm in many different things, but a new title that I can add to all of this is I am a producer on an up-and-coming show called Death Roll, and it is essentially a TTRPG anthology series of horror tropes where each season is based off of a different horror genre. Season 1 is coming out in October. It is a proof of concept that we put all of our love and effort into, and it is your traditional 80s, 90s slasher flick inspired one, where the next one might be more like sci-fi, like Aliens and so far. We have a lot of big plans. Do check it out. We're very, very excited, but to make it work, we need all the support we can get, because just like this project, a lot of personal money was put into it and time and effort.
Can you also tell us about Project Dastan?
Oh, that Project Dastan is something that is very dear to my heart. That is something that is a little bit more in the background now. But the entire purpose of Project Dastan is I've always wanted to create a community that can help uplift minorities and uplift people from underprivileged, underrepresented backgrounds. We're working with Moonbeam to have a specific channel set up there called The Realm, and the goal is to have a space and that people can get supported. If you're a content creator that has some cool things that they want people to see and have the support, our hope is that we can create a space for you so that it's kind of like an incubation space where you can come in, do your thing, work with the community, maybe find other like-minded individuals, have the resources to start growing, and then whenever you're ready to leave the nest, you can leave the nest and go do your own thing or decide to stay as long as you want. It's your home, it's your little space. We're working very hard in the background. It might be a little bit longer just because we're working some kinks out. But that's the goal. And also Project Dastan's personal side of it is I'm hoping to build a studio out in India that we can use local talents to help tell a story that is unique, that is inspired by the people there. And yeah, that's the thing.
Cool.
KP's working the kinks out of his new job. Kate's working the kinks into her new job. It's great. This all comes together.
Crit Award nominees.
Charlotte.
Also, can I?
Hold on. Yeah, Kate, you do it. What?
No, I was just going to say, I would like to say, for the record, that I was filming the Crit Awards because I was going to make a video about how obviously I lost to KP because I was so convinced that KP was going to win. And then it was really funny. And so now every time I'm in a room with KP, I'm always like, sorry you lost to me, bitch.
Oh my God.
It would be an honor to lose anything to you, Kate.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's just an honor to be nominated next to such amazing people like KP.
There were so many amazing people on that.
It was too many. I didn't even vote for myself. I was like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to choose.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm gonna head out. I love you guys.
Love you, buddy.
Right.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye. See you later, man. Thanks for being here.
If you could just stay connected, maybe leave your camera off because we're about to wrap up here in like 2 minutes. Cool.
Yep. Just perfect. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Charlotte Kavatica, tell us about you and your life and the list of your fears and your social security number.
Okay, write this down.
Okay.
It's go fuck yourself.
Okay.
222. My life is boring. I'm an independent bookseller and TikToker and sometime audiobook narrator. I do have a project coming up a little bit later this year, just a little teeny tiny project. You can find my stuff under Charlotte Moore-Lambert if you're looking for my silly little audiobooks. And if you want to find my silly little videos, you can find me as Kavatica on TikTok. And I just talk, it's just basically, I don't have a brand. It's just like my social media channel where I talk into my phone. Sometimes it's about science. Sometimes it's about TTRPGs. Sometimes it's about politics. It's probably gonna be a lot more dog content soon. I make silly little pictures. Sometimes there's a conspiracy theory that I'm a bunch of spiders in a skin suit. That's pretty much it. Oh, and I'm on another podcast with Kate sometimes that you guys can listen to called The Unpredicted Party. It's about what would happen if the Fellowship had tried to take the Eagles to destroy the ring, and it doesn't go well. And Kate plays Aowen, and I play Tariel, and it's gay and
it's
fun.
So gay. It's just unbelievably gay.
It's great, and we have it's going to be wrapping up soon. We're gonna have our big bad fight pretty soon, and we have a wonderful community of people who are largely in our chat here just now. And you guys can follow Don Marshall on TikTok for all of your Unpredicted Party needs. And we also have a really wonderful Discord community. So
that's
what I'm doing.
You undersold the Charlotte speaks about political things that are very near and dear to my heart, and she is a goddess with a flaming sword of fucking truth, and every time she is on there, going off about underprivileged peoples. I am just in the comments like, fucking yeah!
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm cool. I just don't have a consistent brand. So when I'm trying to figure out how to represent myself, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that I like.
No, I'm just a fan. I'm a fan. That's all.
It. I'm a fan of you.
No.
Yeah, where can the people find you, Jesse Jerdak?
Jesse
Oh,
Jerdak.
yeah, Jesse Jerdak.
Yeah.
Let's everybody look at Jesse. Love that guy.
Here, I'll just put it up on my face all weird like that. Now, only people on YouTube can just see my face and not anything else. It's bad for them. I'm going to go back to the group so we can. I'm going to put on KP now. There we go. There's just his chair.
Perfect.
Okay. I am Jesse Jerdak. You can find me at Jesse Jerdak. That's JESS no IE. Jerdak, which is JERDAK. On all the socials, and all the YouTubes, and all the TikToks and Twitches, and all those things. I'm this guy. You've seen my work on Roll for Initiative. You've seen my work on Critical Role recently.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
little show that some of you might have heard of.
Yeah, that was nice. If there's a spinny mappy guy on there, I made it. I in the background am launching a Patreon. Me and my human somehow have found it. I have not advertised it at all, and they are actually my first patrons. So thank you, me and my human. Yeah, I did not. I've not told anyone about it, so I don't know how the bird found it. But the bird,
God damn you, me and my human.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Jesse to announce it. I wanted to be his first patron, and I was waiting for him to say something about it, and then I was going to do it. Damn it.
Me and my human beat you to it, buddy.
it again.
I literally have a tab saved on my phone of your Patreon, and I have for months, waiting for a moment when you mentioned it publicly, and then I was going to...
This is the first mention of it, because I've made some promises on there that I want to be able to keep before I really mention it. Because I'm a man of my word, or at least I intend to be. But yeah, you can find me.
The bird just took a hot waz all over your plans.
It's still the hot waz, boom. But yeah, at Jesse Jerdak, I'm mostly active on the rotting corpse of Twitter and the new corpse of Threads. And also I'm going to be reactivating and relaunching my YouTube content in a very wholesome and friendly brand here in the next month or two.
You have a new video about how to build cool terrain out of boxes and stuff.
Yeah, that's actually a new old video. I filmed that like 2 years ago and then just didn't edit it until like last month. Forrest Valkai.
But it's a good video.
It's pretty good. I did an okay job. 6 out of 10. Forrest, tell us about you, and then let's all leave and never talk again.
Okay.
You're literally on my channel. Hi, I'm TV's the Internet's Forrest Valkai, professional internet science man. Hi, I'm cishet white man, Forrest Valkai, here to teach you about things you didn't want to know about the universe, so that you can question the reality that you weren't sure you wanted to be a part of in the first place. You can find me on them internets, on YouTube and TikTok, and sometimes I remember that I have an Instagram, and everybody cool is on Threads now, so find me there too. Or you can just go to valkailabs.com and find most of my things there. I also have a Patreon. It's not as good as Jesse's. I am notoriously very dumb and will never stop going to fucking school so I can teach you more science. Stay tuned, probably next week, for a new episode of Reacteria, where I'll be talking about Erik Gude and why he doesn't understand anything about science at all, and is also a little racist. We're going to talk about that. It's going to be great, and we're going to have some fun reviewing a movie about creationism and what it is. It's Night at the Creations. Do you know the Night at the Museum movie?
I am familiar with it. Yes.
Erik Gude, Kent Hovind's son, made a Night at the Creation Museum bullshit ripoff movie, which is not only just a bullshit ripoff movie, it's like Transmorphers level, because he actually photoshopped his head onto the poster of Night at the Museum, the actual movie, and that is the actual poster for this film. And it is so fucking bad. And also he claims that evolution is racism. Or rather, he tacitly endorses it by standing next to a big sign that says so, and saying that the human zoos of the past are all because of evolution. It's a bad movie. and I've already almost finished the video, and so it should be out next week. So tune in for that. And also, if you are an atheist or you like atheist content, the Atheist Experience, a product of the atheist community of Austin, has allowed me to hijack one of their shows next month as well. The first Sunday of October, I'll be on with Dr. Ben, and he and I are going to tear up biomedical science questions and also religion questions, also to raise money for Doctors Without Borders, and all of those funds will be a part of this same thing. So if you like the ACA content.
We just got another $200 donation over there on Tiltify.
No way.
Yeah, Anna N in the chat says YouTube wouldn't let her donate, so she gave it over there at the
Thank
Tiltify.
you, Anna.
Holy shit!
Is that officially 28 then?
I think it is.
Is that 28?
Let me check. See, I've got.
Did Anna push us over?
I think Anna might have pushed us over.
Anna.
The math says so. Let me double check. Let me do it. Here's that's $10,600 raised on Tiltify. Bringing it up over here, that's 15,900 and that's not a 15. That's $15,922 here on YouTube. $1,000 from the Hero Forge, and then $483 for merch sales. That means we have raised $28,005.51 before the end of it. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you, Anna.
To 28K.
And some of these, we've gotten a couple of $5 donations in the chat tonight, and that $5,
you see where it pays off. Like that, without the couple of people who donated $5, we would not have broken the 28K. We would have been right up against it. So for all the people that were saying, like, I feel bad, I can only donate so much. Do you see what I mean? And like, dude, we're getting real close to the time where I'm gonna have to call Jesse and say, "Oh shit, we actually did it."
This is great.
Now we have to figure out how to do this again. With that, I think that might be the end of our show, y'all. I really appreciate you guys for being here and spending a couple of hours with me answering questions from the fans. I appreciate the fans for sending in their questions. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for watching this fucking thing that we poured so much time and effort into making. You could have just thrown money at it, but the fact that you actually watched it too really does validate us a lot. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy and this is a way that you like helping save the world, then fuck, man, we're probably going to do more of it. Thank you, Humphrey Wendell, for another $20 just now.
Local friend of mine.
Oh, that's awesome. You are all fantastic. Thank you so much for helping to make the world a slightly less crappy place. And with that, I'm Forrest Valkai. Have an awesome rest of your day and never stop learning. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
I put on KP's chair for the closeout.
And we are clear.
Oh.
That was special.
That was really nice. I'm sorry.